Broadcasting live to the UK. News, information, entertainment, and the best music from the past 40 years. This is Play 2 UK. Tommy Boyd. Call 01243 55 60 60. Email studio@playradiouk.com. Skype play.radio.uk. Now, live from the south coast of England, the Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
Good day and welcome to our talk show, our Monday talk show on Play Radio with Tommy Boyd, and this evening discussing the Tory conference, discussing piracy, which is big business off the coast of Africa at the moment. And whilst one should never condone illegal acts, especially when blood is being shed, and it is, at the same time there's something quite romantic, isn't there, about the idea of being a pirate in the 21st century. So we're talking about that. Going to be talking about fox hunting as well, and our guest at 9 o'clock will be Lee Moon, who is spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteurs Association. And he's prepared to cross swords, and I think it could be quite heated and volatile, because I have my own personal view about Hunt Sabs, which is whilst their heart might appear to be in the right place, I think they just basically enjoy it. I think it must be terrific, a bit like being a pirate, to have a legitimate, in your own mind, moral excuse for going around causing a bit of mayhem. Fantastic. But it's over. Fox hunting is banned. It's over. They keep trying to make out that it's still going on, and maybe the odd hunt still does meet and go parading around the countryside, and that must be great fun, and maybe the odd fox is caught. But basically, it's over. So what we're going to be saying to the SAB people is, you're going to need some new hobby. You're going to need to get involved in something else. So when I'm talking to Lee later on at about 9 o'clock, our time, it's 8 o'clock at the moment, our time at the moment, I'm going to be saying to him, what about Taliban, for example? It's a good one. They have a lot of fun. And, you know, there's something vaguely moral righteous about what they do. Sean isn't here, actually. Matt is. Why did I say Sean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Sean. You look a bit like another bloke I know called Sean
Already
Bolger.
thinking of my replacement, aren't you?
No, that's been in hand for some time. And Fiona is here as well. You well?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good, that's excellent. Okay, reminder, on your laptop or PC, if you're live, Skyping us is a good way of chipping in a comment. So you just have to be signed up to Skype. And then play.radio.uk is our address, and we can chat away like that. Emails, we've got some great emails on Tuesday, which was the last time I was here, studio@playradiouk.com, or you can call us, and our telephone number is 01243 55 60 60, 01243 55 60 60. If you're listening in, we had a caller with a mobile phone who had to be near the window from Poland, I think it was, last Tuesday, which was interesting. And we took a moving Skype call from that 15-year-old Canadian guy.
Stephen Labadie.
That's the boy. Yeah, that was cool. On last Tuesday. There's a blue light flashing on my screen. It's nothing to do with me. Okay, fine. Just wanted to check. So, what should we talk about first? The Tory conference, the piracy guys, or do you want to get into fox hunting, or do you have any agendas of your own? Or things going on in your life that you want me to help with?
Did you see the Formula 1 yesterday?
I did, yeah.
Wasn't it amazing?
It was sumptuous. What a feast for the eyes.
Yeah. The aerial shots were unbelievable.
It was just the most stunning pictures of a sporting event I think I've ever seen. Pity there weren't a few more crashes.
Yeah. Although the right people had the right...
Isn't it funny, you know, there you are, a fan of Formula 1. I'm not such a huge fan. I only watch it for the starts, really, to see if there's a shunt. But you like the shunts as well, don't you?
Oh, yes.
We don't want anyone to get hurt or killed.
No.
Slightly wounded is okay.
Put Massa out for the rest of the season and be alright.
Yeah, I can see why you say that. Football we'll be talking about a little bit as well. Oh, I was going to ring... I know what we could do right now, actually. I was going to telephone one or two sports bars in places like Beijing and Moscow. So I wonder if I can do that now on the phone, just quickly. How do I get an outside line?
9 for an outside line. You have to do it with the handset until it starts ringing and then send it through to the desk.
Oh, OK. All right. I don't know if that's a call. Hello, are you calling me or am I calling you?
Good evening, I'm calling you.
OK.
It's Alan from Birmingham here.
Alan, hi.
Hi, Tommy.
Never been better, thank you. Alan, as I always say, today's the day.
Yeah, well, we've had a major news event in Birmingham this week.
Another one?
But the Conservatives are in town.
They are?
Yeah, and they blocked blocked one of the streets off because they're stopping at the hotel there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I can't understand why they've had to box the whole road off.
What, is it security, or is it just a traffic issue, or have they done it just to annoy people?
I suspect it's a security aspect.
Yeah, fair enough then, isn't it? We don't want any... I mean, the Conservatives do, in living memory, have a very nasty memory of a conference when security wasn't as good as it might have been.
Wasn't that the Brighton bomb of 1984?
Yes, it was. Do you remember it? Are you old enough?
Hold on, let me turn my audio down. Hold on. That's better. Sorry, I had my headphones on and the audio was coming up.
Thank you for painting a full picture.
But like I say, we don't want another repeat of that.
No.
And I think it's good that the conference is coming to the city.
To Birmingham?
Changed from being at the seaside.
Yeah, I'm not sure... Well, I don't know, really. If I was a Tory politician, whether I'd rather go to Birmingham or Brighton. Or Blackpool. I shouldn't think Blackpool's really...
No.
Much of a place for a Tory.
Evening, Matt, by the way.
Evening.
Labour's usually gone to Blackpool, but last week they were in Manchester.
Yeah.
But Birmingham's quite a buzzing city, isn't it?
Evening, Fifi.
Good evening. I mean, obviously you haven't got
Not
the
really.
pretty seaside. Yes, it is.
No, it's not really.
Yes,
No.
it is.
Canals.
It's got a canal. I was working in Birmingham. This is a true story, right? And I was working with the guy who's the son of a great journalist called Cassandra, William Connors. And he brought his 4-year-old. This guy swears and drinks and smokes. He's a great guy. And he's a good dad. But this is a true story. We were walking through Birmingham to go to a rehearsal for something. And he had his son with him. And we crossed over one of the canal bridges. And the son went, "Daddy, look at all..." My language, but I have to tell it as it happened.
Yeah.
He said, "Daddy, look at all those fucking boats." And his dad went, "Don't call them fucking boats," he said. "They're fucking barges." True story. Isn't that a good story? Eh? But Birmingham hasn't got... Do those starlings still make clouds above the Midland Hotel every evening at sunset, Alan?
I think so, Tommy.
That's all I remember of Birmingham, really.
Well, the whole area is rejuvenated. We've got the ICC, the National Indoor Arena, Selfridges, which looks like the inside of a TARDIS.
Yeah, it's still Birmingham, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm proud to call myself a Brummie.
Why is that, then?
Because I was born and raised in the city.
Yeah, but you should be proud of something because of its achievement, and
And we
no
have
offence.
achieved something. We've
What?
had Eurovision, the G8 Summit, and we got the Conservatives in town.
It's not
And don't
achievement,
forget,
really, is
we
it?
were first to have gladiators.
And they used to call Birmingham the city of 1,000 trades, you know, because everything's centred
the
around
Industrial
Birmingham.
Revolution. We still got the Jewry Quarter.
It's the arse end of
See?
the country, really.
No, it's
Is a
not.
bit, I agree.
No,
Why
you're
are you
wrong.
slagging off us Brummies, Matt?
What?
Why are you slagging off us Brummies?
I'm not slagging off you Brummies. Having lived next to Birmingham for 25 years, I'm well qualified to say that I personally believe it's the arse end of the country.
Well, we've got more nightclubs in Leicester. We've got the new Gatecrosser nightclub that's just opened.
That's fantastic, as
There's
I don't really
there
go
is
clubbing.
so much in Birmingham. The only thing you
there
don't... Yes, there is. You're... No, I disagree. The thing about living down by the sea is there's only kind of sort of one way you can go, or you can either go up or you can go along one way or along the other. What I like about Birmingham is just enormous.
It's got a fourth direction you can go in.
Yeah,
Well, okay,
it
let's...
always amazes me, the
let's-
size of the place.
Let's just list the credentials of Birmingham then, okay? Compared to Brighton, you can go south without getting wet. On the other hand, in Brighton, if you go south for long enough, you get to France, and that has got more to offer than Coventry.
Yeah, but you've got to go a long way across water.
Yeah, but how... Is it Coventry you get to, about 20 miles south, Alan?
I'm not sure, Tommy. I've never been to
Yeah,
Coventry.
it is basically
You've never been to
Coventry.
Coventry?
It's Coventry south of Birmingham, is it?
No,
Where have you been, Alan?
Wolverhampton,
You've been to Wolverhampton?
West Bromwich,
And West Bromwich?
Douglas,
Dudley.
Yes.
Walsall,
Still not left the city, though.
Yes.
Redditch.
Been to Redditch? Yeah, all right.
Okay, have you been outside of the Midlands at all?
Well, I've been on holiday to the Isle of Wight.
Oh, well, that's a start.
Now you're talking.
Why's that, Tommy?
Well, the two places have got so much in common, really. They're both stuck in the sort of mid-late 1950s, aren't they, really?
No, you're wrong.
In so many ways.
No.
Alan, I'm very grateful for your call.
Cheers, Tommy.
Talk to you again. There goes Alan. 01243 55 60 60. The Conservatives are suggesting that we scrap the plans for a third runway at Heathrow and that instead we invest our money in a network of high-speed rail links joining London with Birmingham and Manchester predominantly. I presume then that means that the third runway was primarily going to be for short-haul flights, connecting those parts of the country
You would have thought,
by
wouldn't
airline.
you? Yeah.
No, you would have thought. So that's one plan they've got. The other plan is to freeze the council tax for the next 2 years, they're proposing, which is easy to do because it just means you freeze the services. So nothing's going to get any better as far as wheelie bins and libraries go. When was the last time you were in a library, Fiona?
I haven't been in a library for years.
Who has?
We don't need the library anymore, do you?
You really don't. You really don't. But that is a fantastic service. You can go into a library and you can just say, get me the complete works of, I don't know, let's say Shakespeare. They probably got that. My wife went into the library the other day because she's in a book club and the book was totally obscure, so she just went into the library and said, can I have a hatful of romance by Siegfried Walloon? And it was there. We got a letter through the post. It was there in 48 hours. Must have cost a fortune to track it down, all the manpower, the post and everything. And we're paying for that. With our council tax?
Are we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not certain.
You know, you can use the internet in the library. Is that free, or do you have to pay for that?
I believe you have to pay for that in a lot of them. But the thing is, all the library would have done to get that book is to go on the internet.
Okay.
So, theoretically, your wife could have gone on the internet herself, although she would have had to pay for it.
Yeah.
I've just picked up an email from Stephen Gosport.
Yes.
He says, is it my laptop or are there problems with the webcam? The webcams are down at the moment, and we're not using them. So no, there's nothing wrong with your laptop, Steve. Oh, and there's a guy called Gary last Tuesday asked me for the website address of the political party that we're starting up with a number of interesting policies. And I've got that now. The website is not complete. It's a bit of a mess, actually. But Aaron and Sarah have just Skyped in. Are there any cams?
That's Aaron, who you've met, who works. Yeah.
Aaron, hey Aaron. No webcams this evening. No. Where was I?
Political parties.
Yeah. So if Gary, you're listening and you're interested in having a look at my website, which is not completed yet, so don't take the piss. If you send me an email, I will send you an email of the website's address, and I'll do that for anybody who is interested in having a crack. Phone number 01243 55 60 60. Good evening. You're on Play Radio.
Good evening, Mr. Boyd. A long-time listener, call up all the while, can't help myself. My name is Kiss from Birmingham. Am I right in thinking this evening is a Birmingham special?
Well, it's beginning to look that way, isn't it?
Good. Right then, well, I'll be listening very, very carefully, and I will compare notes after the news.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. When is the news? He's gone. That's cool. Okay, so it's a Birmingham special tonight. We're discussing Birmingham. We're looking at why Birmingham is unable to produce a decent football team since Aston Villa won the European Cup, which was, I think, 1981, was it? Something like that. Peter Withe, I think, got the goal. So Birmingham can't play football. Aston Villa are in... they're experiencing breathing difficulties at the lofty height of 4th in the Premiership after 6 games. They can't play football. There's no homogenous culture, really, apart from an accent that nobody really likes.
I like it.
What, the Birmingham accent?
I do, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. So if you want to flirt with Fiona, you're on your way now. And I've got an IRM show business update from Nikki Ramsden, which I'll not be reading out.
No,
Okay.
you've got an IRM show business update from Sophia Armitage.
Oh, have I?
Both of you got an email from Nikki Ramsden.
Oh, right, I'll take Nikki. Tommy, my hero, so busy on the phone, missed me kiss. No idea.
Was she... this is Nikki from reception.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, great. What? So, yes, that's right. Oh, that's good internal politics, isn't it? Yeah, when I arrived this evening, she was busy on the phone. I normally sort of chat to her.
Flirt. Well, she flirts with you.
Yeah, she does, yeah. She's absolutely fine. So, I'm going to try phoning a sports bar in Beijing, except the time in Beijing is now 4 in the morning.
Oh dear.
Is it worth it?
Well,
Shall I try one in Moscow?
what time is it in Moscow?
Midnight.
Okay.
Bear with me a second.
Might be a little bit drunk then on vodka.
We'll see. Do I have to dial 9 for an outside line?
Yes.
Okay.
So is this just a random sports bar?
Yeah. Oh. I've just...
Please check and try again. The number you have dialed has not been recognised. Please check and try again.
Yeah, probably the reason that number was not recognised was simply because I dialed the number followed by 24, because it's a 24-hour sports bar and I'm stupid. So that didn't work, and that's probably fair enough.
Alan says Villa won the European Cup in '82 and they're third in the table.
I think they're 4th. I might be wrong, but they're not going anywhere, are they, Alan? And I'm not sure what Birmingham has to crow about sporting-wise nowadays. They have a tennis tournament, which I think is a ladies' tournament that plays second fiddle to Eastbourne in the run-up to Wimbledon. Neither of the cricket teams that they have in that neck of the woods, Warwickshire, are any good. Hopeless.
Warwickshire used to be good.
The football teams are very poor.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't produced...
No, Villa are a good team and
No,
they
they're
get better every year.
And who was the last Brummie footballer of note? Since Duncan Edwards.
Oh, I couldn't...
There you are, you see.
That's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. I think the thing about Birmingham is you feel as though you're in Birmingham and you feel as though you ought to be going on somewhere else.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Do you know that feeling?
Yeah, you feel... When you're in Birmingham, you feel like you should be getting out of here really quick.
What are the achievements of the Brummie people? I'm sure if you go back a few years, they've rebelled against something or other and have been responsible for some important social changes.
One achievement that they did is they managed to find an accent more vulgar than any other in this country.
Oh, it's an easy target.
But it's true, it's not
No,
an
it's
attractive
not.
accent, is it?
I find it attractive.
Why do you find it attractive? What on earth can you find attractive about a Brummie accent?
I find it very warm and friendly.
Ooh.
Well, you asked me, and I'm giving you an honest answer.
Stan Collymore is probably, but he's black country, so he's not really a Brummie, is he? Stan Collymore?
Yeah, he's
With a
definitely-
black country accent, it's more like that. Isn't it? It's not, who's the bloke who, it's not his real name, he's the comedian who supports the baggies.
Oh,
It sounds
Frank
like
Skinner.
I'm sounding like Adrian Childs here, aren't I? Well, we're hoping to have an interview with so-and-so coming in about 5 minutes' time. Do you fancy me? Is he having an affair with that girl on the 7 o'clock show?
I don't know, is he the one?
Oh,
rumours,
the
aren't
One
there?
Show.
Yeah, yeah.
That Irish woman.
Yeah.
There was photos of them together,
Yeah, I
wasn't
know,
there?
but
She wouldn't have an affair with him.
maybe they're just...
Unless she likes the Brummie.
Why is that, then? Is he beneath her?
Yeah.
Oh, great
Look
stuff.
at Gary Lineker. He's about to get married to, well, he's engaged to that really hot young model, isn't he?
Yes,
but
but
he's
the-
Gary Lineker.
The Velvet Owl is, Gary Lineker.
Yeah.
And he's loaded and he's a good-looking boy, isn't
He
he?
is, yeah.
Adrian Charles not skint, is he?
Yeah, but Adrian...
Yeah,
yes.
but
It's not just the BBC that he does.
It isn't.
but he's not very attractive, is he?
No, he's fleshy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Fleshy.
That's
So
polite.
where are we? We're talking about Birmingham. Does anybody know who the most famous Brummies are? Are there any famous Brummies?
Jasper Carrot.
Yeah.
Yep, Bob.
Bob.
That's his real name.
Robert Davies.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not. Wouldn't be called Jasper.
Well, I realised that. I thought you were referring to somebody else.
No,
yeah.
no, Bob.
And Bob.
Bob's a good comedian. Yep, it's a terrible show he's got there, isn't it? The Golden Balls thing.
Who else?
Brummies of note. Exactly. Exactly. So the Tory party conference is underway, and we're talking about the agenda there, although I don't want to get too sort of political and heavy, because it's really not our scene, is it? We're much more interested in piracy.
Yeah.
Now, do you know about the pirates that are in action off the coast of Somalia?
No.
Which is a country that is described as being a country de jour. I don't know what that means. It's a sort of a sometime country.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a whole load of pirate ships off the coast of Somalia.
Fantastic.
It is. Mind you, there is bloodshed involved, so we must tread lightly.
Okay.
A little bit anyway.
Do they have the skull and crossbones?
I don't think they do, no. They just slew up alongside ships that are going past through their territory and jump on board and take them hostage. And the hostage industry, the pirate-generated hostage industry in Somalia is so big, they've intercepted something like 30 ships already this year.
Right.
And the pirate hospitality, the hostage hospitality scene in Somalia is so big that there are restaurants dedicated just to serving food for the hostages. How about that?
What makes somebody a pirate?
They attack ships and take them over.
Okay, so it's just the fact that they're doing this out at sea makes them pirates. So if they were doing it in the streets, minus the ships,
they'd be
they
muggers,
would just be
thieves.
Okay.
But we call them pirates because it's going on the open ocean.
So the sort of romantic notion of Captain Jack Sparrow leaping onto the ship and swashbuckling.
I think they're a bit like that. I just think they probably wear some fancy gear. I can't imagine that they're T-shirt and jeans.
Right.
I would hope that at the very least they have some bandana.
I think so.
But they've just taken one hostage and they're holding out for $2 million. Now, the interesting thing is that these pirates have, in the last 6 months we've been researching this, they've managed to get something like $4.2 million paid in ransom. Now, I thought nobody paid ransoms, because the idea is that if you pay a ransom, they'll just keep doing it, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been paying ransoms. And so they are continuing to do it. Which is fantastic for the pirates, because that's, in this days of the credit crunch, obviously, the pirate industry is relatively unscathed.
So that's off the coast of Somalia?
Off the coast of Somalia. And they've got one at the moment. And it's been surrounded by 3 warships.
Right.
A Russian one called HMS Fearless. Apparently every country with a navy's got one called Fearless. Okay? And an American one called Harold. You can't imagine an American battleship called Harold, can you?
No.
It's kind of... It's unlikely.
British,
we wouldn't
really,
call one of our... We call our battleships things like, Invincible. And, Bloody Amazing. And, oh shit, here come the Brits. HMS, oh shit. But the Americans have got one called Harold, and it's surrounded the pirates. And do you know what the pirates are saying, surrounded now by 3 battleships?
Ahoy there, shipmate.
Kind of. They're saying, bring it on.
Excellent.
Bring it on! So, talking a little bit about piracy this evening, who's the most famous pirate ever?
Ever?
Ever. There's only one.
Well, I don't know. Why do I want to say Captain Hook?
Captain Hook. Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
No, he's not a real pirate.
Oh.
He's this bloke. Hold on, here we are.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. Now clear up them there shambles, or I'll feed you piecemeal to the rats in the cellar.
Long John
Belay
Silver,
your
is it?
swivel
Yes.
tongue purity. It were only befitting to watch over 'ee as any gentleman would.
Matt, you're spending a long time typing this evening.
I now finished.
Did we really hire you to type?
No, I've finished.
We can get a much cheaper typist than you, believe it or not.
Fat Steve's trying to send us a photo he's just been out and took.
All right.
So I'm just trying to download that
Okay.
and organise that in. But I'm done. We have some emails as well. So I am on the case.
Yeah, that's good.
So if you ask my son who the most famous pirate was, he would say Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes.
But he was never a pirate.
Well, it's this man, and I want us all to have a quick listen to this, and then I think what we'll do is because there's an international, I don't know if you know, there's an international Talk Like a Pirate Day
Yes.
in the United States.
That was
I don't know
last-
exactly when
last
that
week.
is. Was it?
I think it was last week.
But I missed that.
Did you?
So I'd love the opportunity to talk like a pirate. So let's just have a listen to Long John Silver.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. Now
So come on, Matt.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade.
clear up them there shambles, or I'll feed you piecemeal to the rats in the cellar.
Come on, Fiona, your turn. Come on!
Can't I just say, ahoy there, shipmates?
No, that's rubbish.
No. Well,
Darcy
okay.
Sato's email, thank you, Darcy. He said he may be dead, but Tony Hancock was a brummie, and he's still funnier than a lot of living comedians. However, Darcy says Birmingham is still a shithole, though.
No, I disagree.
It's not got any great defining features. It hasn't got a Buckingham Palace or a Mersey.
I know the argument's going to come in now. It's got the bull ring, but that's the ugliest thing I've seen in ages.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Doesn't even resemble a bull ring.
Yeah. We should test our nuclear devices over Birmingham. No, I mean, that's a joke, obviously. Well, only just. And this from Dino in Dudley. All right, Tommy. I'm reading this phonetically. All right, Tommy. How am you moit? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm right. Birmingham is bloody awful. Black country is busting. We made a better kip of time. Like.
With Fower Sugars, good
With Fower Sugar. Yeah, that's the Stan Collymore joke. Apparently, when he turned up at Liverpool, a bloke came into the dressing room selling trendy gear, and he had a suitcase full of shirts and ties, and somebody shouted across the dressing room, "Kip of ties, Stan?" And allegedly he replied, "Great, white with 3 shugs, please." I don't believe it.
Don't you?
No, bad joke, isn't
Oh,
it?
Stan Collymore not the most intellectually gifted person.
He's
I
a
don't think.
terrific commentator on Radio on
yeah,
TalkSport.
Don't disagree, but I
He's
could imagine him saying
terrific.
that.
Yeah.
Lay your swivel tongue, Purity. It will only befit to watch over 'ee as any gentleman would.
And you want to try that one, Matt?
Well,
This one's the best. Do it again. Well done.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. Now clear up.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. Of the blade.
Not of the blade. You sound like sort of received pronunciation pirate.
I'm a well-spoken pirate.
You are. I'd be most grateful for the return. No,
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. For the return, not for. For the return. Not for. For the return of the blade.
How are you saying fair?
For. I'd
You
be
just
most
said fur.
grateful for the return of the blade.
Do I have to look like that when I do it?
yeah, of course you do.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade.
Now, wouldn't you like to talk like that all the time?
No, because it hurts.
Doesn't it? Okay, so are we making a rule that you can only be a pirate between now and 9 o'clock? Does that include us?
I don't know.
Yes. It's 8:30. When are we going to do the news as a pirate?
We do it now as a pirate, if you like.
Play 2 UK. Headlines.
Another shockwave's been sent through the UK's leading shares. They've plunged 270 points, ending the day at their lowest level for 3.5 years. A vote's taken place in the US on whether to go ahead with a mammoth financial bailout to hold off a global economic crisis. The plan involves $700 billion of taxpayers' cash. The Tories are promising to save us billions of pounds by freezing council tax raises in England for 2 years. The surprise plan's been announced by Shadow Chancellor George Osborne at the Tory conference. And Owais Shah has been named in England's squad for the Winter Test Series in India. The Middlesex batsman's been preferred to Ravi Bopara as the replacement for former captain Michael Vaughan.
Play 2 UK. Weather.
Oh, bloody hell.
This evening and tonight, generally cloudy and breezy across the UK. There will be some clear spells in eastern Scotland and northeastern England. Outbreaks of rain will gradually spread to many areas, especially Northern Ireland and Western Wales. Tuesday, generally cloudy and windy, with outbreaks of rain, often heavy across parts of Northern Ireland, northwestern England, and western Wales. Drier and brighter across eastern Scotland. You have to go hard.
You're up to date on Play 2 UK. Heard a song you love? Then help us by buying your favourite chart CD through Amazon. Just click on the banner at playradiouk.com.
Ellington Lodge Hotel at the Concord Club, a unique place to stay. Set in quiet woodland near Lakeside Country Park, Ellington Lodge is ideally suited whether your stay is for business or pleasure. Our Mouldy Fig Wine Bar offers a comfortable, relaxed atmosphere, serving food, wines and local real ales, with live jazz music 3 nights a week and alfresco dining in the summer months. Visit our website, theconcordclub.com, for further details.
Enjoy yourselves this bonfire night. But remember, even a little sparkler burns at around 2,000 degrees centigrade. Don't mess with fireworks.
The Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
This evening discussing fox hunting and what those poor hunt saboteurs
And those parson.
can't do it, can't keep it up. I'll get all sort of gravelly voice.
I thought your throat must have been hurting after the news and weather.
No, my throat's all right, but Robert Newton it was who talked like that. I don't think any of the real pirates did. Blackbeard was a good pirate. Thank you for mentioning him. He was a terrific pirate, Blackbeard. They only accepted the fact that he was dead. The guy who went for him and came back and said, "I've killed him." They said, "Where's his head?" And he said, "It's in my satchel." He had to bring Blackbeard's head back in
Nice.
in the satchel. He was a good pirate, though. Fat Steve has sent us a picture. What is it, Matt?
This is a sports bar just around the corner from his place,
yeah.
which shows English football. And on the sign, they don't call it soccer, they call it English football.
Really? Have we got a number for them?
I don't know, maybe Fat Steve could get a number for them. Let me find out, see where he is.
Shall I try another bar? Shall I try one in Peking, just see if it's open?
Why not?
Bear with me.
Oh, sugar long.
Tell us a bit about this guy that you've lined up for me to talk to from the Hunt Sabs people.
Okay, well, say from 9 o'clock we're going to be speaking to Lee Moon, who's the spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteur Association, and he's all up for a bit of a lively debate with you tonight.
Yes, which is what we thought that Justin from Viva was up for last night. It wasn't so lively, more...
But in fairness, he had a very good argument.
He went on a bit, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think his sort of method was just to keep talking, because you couldn't possibly argue with him if you couldn't get a word in edgeways.
This is true.
This is hopefully a sports bar called Frank's Place in Beijing.
Frank's Place. Referring to which Frank?
Probably Blue Eyes. I don't know. It's a good question.
喂，你好。
Hello?
Hey. Hello.
Excuse me, do you speak English?
Sure.
Great. Hey, are you open right now at this time of night?
No, we closed already.
Oh,
2
forgive
o'clock.
me. I'm sorry I've disturbed you. Forgive me.
Okay, no problem.
We'll call you
tomorrow
back
maybe.
sometime. Just wondered if you showed any English football.
Oh, we closed already.
No, I
Tomorrow
mean,
or-
no, generally.
Oh, no, sorry.
You don't. Okay, friend, sorry to have disturbed you. Ta-da.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We have the number for the bar in America.
What a nice man, though.
It was nice, wasn't it?
What a
good
nice
English.
man. Better English than us.
Could you imagine if you phoned a bar in this country
And
at that
spoke
time?
Mandarin.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, this is the Georgian Dragon. Can I help you?
Do you know what the time
Oh,
is?
Nicky, piss off. As it is, the guy, we woken him up. They
Yeah.
closed at 2 o'clock and it's 4 o'clock now in Beijing. He's been shut for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m.
Yeah. And he was very polite.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, let's call the sports bar then. I'm happy to do this.
You might have to dial 0 beforehand, he said.
Okay. Write it down or give it to me or put it on the...
I will do.
Yeah, that's okay. So we're phoning sports bars just to see what the score is there.
You got that, yeah. I presume this is one in Atlanta.
Yeah. Here, go.
So if you have any questions for our Hunt Saboteur person, then you can start pinging your emails this way at studio@playradiouk.com.
Looking at me now.
What's this place called?
The Brew House?
Okay.
But that's the dead tone.
I know that. I'm 55.
I thought you were waiting for them to answer.
I know that. No, just wait to see what happens after the dead tone.
Oh.
So that's the dead tone.
Why don't we try...
Yeah, I think you'll find it's 001, isn't it, the States? Or is it double...
Is it 00, then 4? Do you take the one off?
Actually, no, you're right, it is 001, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I'll try that again.
It's the Brew House Cafe.
All right, and whilst we're trying that, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a listen to... You know, we've got this guy coming on. He's from the Hunt Saboteurs Association.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say to him is, look, you've won. Hunting is finished. But apparently they're still jumping up and down because there's the occasional hunt that goes out. And this leads me to think that actually they enjoy it.
And they need
I'm
something
sure
to do.
that the Hunt Saboteurs enjoy it. They enjoy the danger and the excitement
It's
and
the adrenaline, isn't it?
confrontation and the sincere and genuine belief that everybody has, frankly, that they're right. Okay? They're not unique in that. And then they go to the pub afterwards and probably get tanked up and roll your own fags. No offence, Matt. And...
Yeah, but I have filters in mine. They probably don't.
Okay.
In fact, pipes.
Absolutely. And it must be great, but it's over. And so what I'm looking for, if you're creative, okay, sitting at your laptop or your PC, if you're creative, what can we suggest to the Hunt Saboteurs that they now do? Now, I've come up with the Taliban, which is a similar sort of organisation to the Hunt Sabs in lots of ways. Who else is there? I don't think the Bader-Meinhof gang are operating anymore, are they? I don't think they are. Oh, but yet, Matt doesn't know...
The Bader-Meinhof gang?
They were a fantastic gang. They were superb. It was very confusing, though, because they were an ultra-left-wing terrorist organisation who murdered at least 2 people in the 70s, but they always murdered secondary targets. So instead of taking out the bosses of industry, they would shoot the chauffeur.
Weird.
Which is very German, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like that joke about Hitler. You know what I mean?
In the bushes.
Yeah. This time we're going to kill 13 million Jews and 2 postmen. And the guy says, why 2 postmen? And Hitler goes, you see, nobody cares about the Jews. It's a good joke. Anyway, the Bader-Meinhof group were formed by 2 people. Curiously enough, one was called Bader and the other one was called...
Meinhof.
Yeah. And I think they were... I can't remember what they were called in English, but their acronym, right, was RAF. Okay. Now, the problem that lots of Daily Telegraph readers had during the 70s was that there was this guy called Bader, who was of the RAF, who was going around shooting chauffeurs. Okay. Now, you've heard of Douglas Bader, obviously. Right. Well, there was confusion. A little bit of confusion. Because how did a nice man like Douglas Bader, no legs, fall in with these terrorists? And how do they get the RAF to be involved?
And what's their primary reason for shooting chauffeurs?
Oh, they just had this anti-establishment agenda, which was very popular. Then you had Red October, Black September, all these different coloured months, quite funky. There was the Symbionese Liberation Army, which I think would also be a good port of call for Hunt Sabs, who are looking...
ETA.
ETA?
Because at least then they get to do it in nice weather.
Yes, they do. And the football's good down there.
Yeah, nice beaches.
All various IRA and Protestant splinter groups, they're now all folded, so they can't go there. Still a PLO. Always good for a bit of action. Who else? We've never had a pressure group in this country. We've never had a English or terrorist organisation.
Really?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't think since the, now, was it the Cato Street siege with Churchill? Some anarchists shot somebody and then they went on the run from the police and they were held up. I think it was in Cato Street. I might be wrong. And Churchill was the Home Secretary at the time, which was fantastic. He was only 7. He was very, very young. And he went along to have a look. He stuck his head over the barricade, and one of them took a shot at him, and it blew off his top hat. How English is that? And Churchill was going around showing everybody this top hat of his with a finger hole in it, and he was going around with his finger pointing out of his own top hat going, look at this! Well, see? They deserve all they get. So he had them blown away. But we haven't had a decent pressure grip, unless you count. And by the way, I'm working on a new film scenario, okay, which maybe you can help me with. And in it, Batman and Robin are on the run from the police, right? Who think that they may have something to do with Fathers for Justice. And Spider-Man as well. But worst of all, the police are trying to contact Father Christmas. Because I don't remember the first Fathers for Justice demonstration. I think it was on the roof of the Chancellor's building. And there were about 8 of them, and they were all dressed as Father Christmas. Which was kind of better than them dressing as superheroes. Because if anything, 2 of them were too fat to be Father Christmas, and that takes some doing.
Yeah.
But those skinny guys with beer guts dressing as Spider-Man is very silly. But that's the last terrorist group. Not terrorist group. Although they did chuck some stuff at Tony Blair in the House of Commons once. But what we're looking for, and if you feel like getting creative with us, do join in. I'll remind you of the email address in just a second. I'm looking for suggestions when we talk to Lee Moon, who is spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteurs Association. We're looking, I suppose he might think we're teasing him, but we are genuinely trying to help. We're looking for new avenues for their vigour and integrity.
I'm sure he'll think that you are genuinely trying to help.
Absolutely not. We're genuinely trying to help them out of a bit of a hole. So what we'll do whilst we're collecting our thoughts on that one is we'll enjoy... Gareth in Belper says, hi Tom, are the webcams at NTTBS down this evening? Can't seem to get them working at my end. Yeah, Gareth, we're not using the webcams this evening, and we won't be using the webcams for a few shows, just a few shows.
About a couple of 3 weeks.
And then we hope to have them up and running quite significantly better than ever before.
Yes.
In lots of respects. So bear with us there this evening. Gareth, if you get a moment, just email me back. What is it you liked about the webcams? Because it's just my face with a sort of a top of Fiona and Matt's headshot. But you like it, do you? Please email me back and tell me why, what it is that you find interesting about the webcams. Although a friend of mine who's quite a cheese in radio, who tuned in last Tuesday, said that he found the webcams fascinating.
There was one person emailed us with a photo of him watching his webcams. He's got his own little cinema in his house, and he was watching James Whale on the webcams at NTTBS on his 12-foot square cinema screen.
Aren't we all funny?
That's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about... just let me finish this email, caller. Gareth in Belper says, ever so pleased that you're back on Play Radio. I can't remember the last time I had an appointment listen in my week. Thank you, Gareth, for that very much indeed.
I talk to them
This is the Brummie who's called in. I have no idea. Is this supposed to be a Birmingham folk song?
I've no idea.
I'm going to say yes, slasher, bloody morning, bastard, son of a hairdresser.
Okay, that's good. That's a bit of real life there.
Bit of Birmingham.
Thank you very much indeed for that.
The National Internet Radio Awards 2008 have landed, and Play Radio needs your help. Play 2 UK has been nominated for a top award, and we want you to help us show the world why we're leading the way in the future of radio broadcasting. Only your vote will help us win this award, and voting could not be easier. All you have to do is click on the Vote For Us banner on the Play Radio homepage. Votes are limited to one a week, so don't be shy. Vote for us every time you check back into our website, Play 2 UK and the Internet Radio Awards 2008. Vote now and be part of our future. Your computer is about to melt down. Coming to Play Radio, 6th of October 2008. Play 2 UK, The Tommy Boyd Show.
Just ahead of talking to the spokesperson from the Hunt Saboteurs Association, talking about the Tory party conference in Birmingham, and therefore talking about Birmingham, which, and we're not being lazy here, I don't think it's got an awful lot going for it. But, you know, quite happy to have the debate. What else? Talking about pirates. Pirates on the high seas off Somalia, which is always interesting because we like the idea of piracy generally, don't we?
Yeah, it's just the idea of it being off the coast of Somalia. I mean, I don't think of Somalia as being a particularly affluent...
It's not. No. They're very poor. That's why they do it. But the pirates are doing very well. They've had
exactly.
4 ships they've had the ransom paid. $4.2 million they've made.
Yeah.
I know that's...
So where's that money come from, though?
From the owners of the ships who want the ships back.
It's a lot of money, though, isn't it?
It is a lot of money. And the other, unless, of course, you are a short seller, because I read that one of the main donors to the Conservative Party, he has donated £600,000 to the Conservative Party, and he has loaned the Conservative Party £2.5 million, is a short seller. You know, these are these people who have profited from the credit crunch. And he's been short-selling Bradford and Bingley.
Right.
It said in the paper. That he's made his money from short-selling Bradford and Bingley, and some of the profits from his activities, which seem to me to be of no use to the world, in any way, shape or form.
No.
Even the humble lady who paints Subbuteo footballers is doing more good than the short sellers, and the Conservative Party are taking his money. You would have thought that the press and the Labour Party would have pounced on that. Maybe they will.
So when you say they're donating the money to the Conservative Party, what are they planning to do with this money?
The Conservative Party?
Yeah.
Will run their offices, because they have to have big, expensive offices in central London that costs huge rent, pay for full-time officers to man their head office, their central office, and pay for things like the conference, which they're not going to make a profit from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's
and also build up what's called a war chest for the forthcoming election, so they've got plenty of money to spend on billboards,
campaigning,
newspaper adverts, radio adverts. They don't do many radio adverts, do they?
No.
At party come election time.
Are they allowed to?
Yeah.
Are the radio stations allowed to?
Yeah, I think it has to be done balanced and everything. But it's generally TV, isn't it? They go for TV.
It is, yeah.
Obviously. So, a reminder of our contact addresses. studio@playradiouk.com is the email address. And our phone number is 01243 55 60 60. I'm going to see if I can find the proper code for Moscow so that we can call one of the 2 sports bars that I've got numbers for, just to see what's going on there. One's called the Liga Pap and the other one's called Bleachers. But I've obviously got the wrong code for Moscow. So I'll check that whilst we enjoy, not for the first time, well, the second time to be precise, but not for the last time, probably the funniest moment ever on radio.
Here's a fax from Cooter in Orlando, who sends me a copy of a story that appeared in the Los Angeles Times. He says, a prestigious newspaper, not the oft-maligned Weekly World News. Quoting the story, in retrospect, lighting the match was my big mistake, but I was only trying to retrieve the gerbil. Eric Tomaszewski told the news doctors in the severe burns unit of Salt Lake City Hospital. Tomaszewski and his homosexual partner, Andrew Kinky Farnham, had been admitted for emergency treatment after a felching session had gone seriously wrong. I pushed a cardboard tube up his rectum and slipped Raggett, our gerbil, in, he explained. As usual, Kiki shouted out, Armageddon! My cue that he'd had enough. I tried to retrieve Raggett, but he wouldn't come out again, so I peered into the tube and struck a match, thinking the light might attract him. At a hushed press conference, the hospital spokesman described what happened next. The match ignited a pocket of intestinal gas and flame shot out the tube, igniting Mr. Tomaszewski's hair and severely burning his face. It also set fire to the gerbil's fur and whiskers, which in turn ignited a larger pocket of gas further up the intestine, propelling the rodent out like a cannonball. Armageddon! 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 Tomaszewski suffered second-degree burns and a broken nose from the impact of the gerbil, while Furnham suffered first and second-degree burns to his anus and lower intestinal tract. Armageddon! Peered into the tube and struck a match, thinking the light might make the gerbil come out. So that's what felching is all about.
Hey, hold on, I gotta
Armageddon!
This,
Who says that? I didn't. Robert D. Raven on the John Bourne Billy Show.
There we go. Hey, Steve.
Hey, sorry. Had
Yeah.
to turn off. Yeah.
That's no sweat. We were just playing the felching clip there.
What's
whilst-
up?
Huh?
Oh, can't hear you now.
That was because I wasn't saying anything. Have you got me back?
Yes, yes.
That's good, that's good. We were just playing the felching clip there whilst I tried to sort out the phone system. What's the snap you've sent into us, photograph?
It's from a local sports bar, brew place that shows English football.
Well, you've been in there a few times.
I've been in there once. Okay. Well, not actually technically in there.
That never bodes well. When anybody says, have you been in that pub? Yeah, once.
Well, you know, I'm just not really like a go to a beer house type of dude.
Okay.
And I actually, there are two better places across the street. But they have a good drink there called the Painkiller.
Yeah, go on.
It's like pineapple juice and 5 different types of alcohol.
Okay.
What are the 5 different types of alcohol?
Ask them what's in the Painkiller if you call them.
Yeah, we'll try. We're just we're having trouble with our international codes this evening. There was a great moment in... did you ever watch Taxi, the sitcom?
Yeah, not religiously, but I have seen a few episodes.
Well, there was the character played by Christopher Lloyd, who was sort of based on the Jack Nicholson guy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Only he's had the lobotomy, but he gets out. And so this character is, I think his name's Jim.
Yeah, Jim Ignatowski.
Good boy. Good boy. Him and Latka Gravis, weren't they fantastic?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's...
oh, go ahead.
No, your turn.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember when he was once talking to Bobby, the Jeff Conaway character, and he was saying how he was in jail. And Bobby's like, did they get you on drugs? He's like, no, I was on drugs for years before I went in there. That's why I got arrested.
My favourite Ignatowski joke, though, was they were standing around in the taxi pool, and for some reason somebody went, well, we better phone Brazil. And one of the other characters went, what's the code for Brazil? And the other character goes, I don't know. Who the hell knows the code to Brazil? And Jim, who's in the corner, sitting there in a daze, just suddenly snaps into life and goes, 01793468. And then he puts this look on his face, which is, how the fuck did I know that? You know, which is, I think it's a good bit of writing. What are you writing? What are you writing at the moment?
Well, I just finished writing. It's like a parody of those clip shows, which my friend who wrote for Arrested Development and South Park, she's going to be directing it, and she's putting together a bunch of comedians out in L.A. to do it. So. And this documentary, it's not. It's more like a TV series, like a travel show that I've been working on. Just won an award at the TV festival. For
well played.
Best host.
You guys do a lot of awards, don't you? I've been watching Frasier.
Yeah, it's like every bottle of wine I buy lately has a little award on it.
Yeah.
You know, some.
I remember when the internet started up, there was a website offering you tips on how to build your website, and one of them said, make up a load of awards for yourself. No one checks.
No.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and phone this sports bar while I've got you, Steve.
All right, cool.
I wonder if we actually need that code that you've put in brackets, do you think?
I'm on it. You're all right. I'm on it.
I get confused with international dialing, what you've got to take off and what you've got to put on it. I never managed to get it right. So I wonder if you just put.
Yeah, it's probably 001, then 404, then whatever the number is.
I thought you dropped the first letter, first number, and replaced it with 2 zeros.
I don't know, because I think there's it.
Oh, that's me. That's the American ring. That's.
I know what you mean.
Where's it ringing?
Cafe.
Hey, could I speak to the boss for a moment?
He's not in. Can I take a message?
Are you open right now?
Yeah.
It's just a quick word. This is strange. I'm phoning from a UK radio station. Because one of our listeners, a guy called Steve, who's on the line with me now, lives round the corner from your bar, and he's just been recommending it. He says you show UK football.
Yeah, we show, like you mean soccer or the Aussie rules football?
Yeah, soccer.
Okay, yeah, we show it all. EPL, World Cup qualifiers. You pretty much, if it's shown in the U.S., 99 times out of 100 we'll show it.
But we hear that soccer still hasn't broken through, at least with the men in the States.
I wasn't a fan when I first started, but I've been here 4 years, so I mean, now I don't know it all about soccer, but I can keep up with it.
So, is there a...
But, I mean, like, we get packed. I mean, there's a lot of American interest, too.
Is that right?
I mean, I don't know about outside this bar, but, like, inside this bar, there's quite a bit of American.
You spend a lot of time inside that bar, huh?
It either can be a good thing or a bad thing. Who knows?
This guy, Steve, he recommended you, but then when we said to him, do you spend a lot of money in the bar, he said, I've only been once. That's a shame, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you should come a lot more. Good time.
What's your name, friend?
My name's Jeff.
Jeff, I've taken up too much of your time. I just wonder if there's a a soccer team that you've noticed that you kind of find yourself hoping win. You know, you're not a fan or anything, but you know of them.
I'd have to go with Liverpool.
Why is that?
It's just their fans to give me... we have a good time when Liverpool's on.
And do you have some Liverpool fans then come in to watch the game?
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea?
The Chelsea fans? Yeah. We got Chelsea...
You got Chelsea fans there?
Yeah.
Listen, could we one night when we're on air and there's a Chelsea game, could we maybe... I don't want to, you know, like, I know you're busy, but is there any chance we could call you and maybe hook up with a US Chelsea fan and just chat?
Yeah, I'm trying to think when Chelsea... I don't have my still in front of me.
Probably Champions League.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you grab that other line for me? Let me see. I think Chelsea plays... Are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime the Chelsea plays, I mean, the time difference has to make, you know...
Yeah, sure.
Welcome to call up.
Well, hold on. It's going to be 4 p.m. I guess. What time is it right now with you? It's 9 p.m. in the UK.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m.
4 o'clock. So if we called you, maybe there was a Chelsea game on, would you have maybe some Chelsea fans in the bar at 4 p.m.?
There's supposed to be. We got Champions League coming up in the next couple of days.
You do know your stuff, Jeff. I'm seriously impressed.
I try.
If we phoned them about 10:30, it'd just be about just before kick-off, really, wouldn't it?
Are they playing tomorrow night?
I think it's Man U tomorrow. I can check.
Okay.
We can check.
But, I think Chelsea's playing Wednesday.
Yeah.
You're right, Jeff. You know more than I do.
I'll be here on Wednesday.
You're a very good man. I won't take up any more of your
painkiller?
Time tonight. What's in the painkiller, Jeff, is the other thing?
Bacardi rum, orange rum. We got pineapple juice, orange juice, and coconut.
Sounds great. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon. You're a good man. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll be here Wednesday.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
We won't be here Wednesday, though.
No, I might. I might come in and do it. I might come in and just do it. That's great. Great.
That was Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
That was a good steer there, Steve. Thank you. So now we've got Jeff is now our US Chelsea fan correspondent. That's
Liverpool.
He likes Liverpool, doesn't he? Yeah. Are you bothered about soccer at all, Steve?
Yeah. Well, yeah. In fact, I'm now at number 10 in the Not the Tommy Boyd Show league.
Fantasy football league. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's in your?
But that was down from number 4.
Oh, are you? You're plummeting like Wall Street.
Yes, like Arsenal. Have too many of their players.
Like Arsenal. What time are we interviewing the Hunt Sab guy?
After the next break, I think.
When's the next break to you?
Now.
Right now.
Is it? See if I got to go.
All right, have a great time.
Yeah, thanks for your help this evening.
Bye.
Bye. Good egg, isn't he, our Steve? Okay. This, and then we'll talk about fox hunting.
In a world obsessed with celebrities, one woman wanted only one thing: to wake up in the morning to a genuine poster of David Hasselhoff on her wall. To have that poster contain a personal message to her in his very own handwriting. She was faced with fake after fake. Where could she turn for help? The answer was simple. Universal Posters. They have a range of approved celebrity pictures, which even come complete with a personalized message in the celebrity's very own handwriting. This could all be yours for just £7.99. So go to playradiouk.com and click on the Universal Poster banner. Play Radio UK and Universal Posters. Now showing on a PC near you.
Are everyday items stretching your family income to the limits at the moment? Me too. Well, I found this amazing website, comparison-plus.co.uk. It's amazing. You can compare the prices of thousands of products from all the big retailers. And what's more, it's a totally free service. You don't have to become a member to use Comparison Plus. But if you do register with comparison-plus.co.uk, you get cashback rewards, giving you even bigger savings. Don't pay over the odds. Click comparison-plus.co.uk and start saving now.
It's back. It's back. The 6th of October, 2008. Broadcasting live to the UK. News, information, entertainment, and the best music from the past 40 years. This is Play 2 UK. Tommy Boyd. Call 01243 55 60 60. Email studio@playradiouk.com. Skype play.radio.uk. Now, live from the south coast of England, the Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
This evening we're discussing the Tory Party conference in Birmingham, so we're discussing Birmingham as well. Tories plan to scrap the third runway at Heathrow and set up a network of high-speed rail links instead. Any thoughts? They've also been exposed as having a donor who is also a short seller, and he's been short-selling Bradford and Bingley and no doubt making some dough out of that. So that's to be discussed. We're talking about piracy on the high seas, which is big in Somalia, where they pay the ransom, and the pirates in the last 3 months have made $4.2 million, almost as much as a short seller. And we're also talking about fox hunting, because it looks like the anti-hunt people have won, But they're still hanging in there. Lee's on the line, Lee Moon, who is spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteurs Association. Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Not so bad, not so bad. Yourself?
Never been better. Hey, listen, so well done. You won the fox hunting thing.
Well, it certainly sounds like you think so, Tommy. Unfortunately, the reality in the fields of England isn't quite so clear-cut. The police don't seem to care, and a lot of the hunts are acting as if the bill was never brought in. So I would argue that the work of Hunt Saboteurs continues until we actually get a proper bill that's properly policed and see these people being punished for the crimes they're committing.
Well, I know you're keeping going, obviously, because you love it, don't you?
I was at a wedding on Friday night, Tommy. I didn't get home until about 1 in the morning, and I had to get up at 3 to go into the fields of Suffolk. I don't love it. I don't think any saboteurs enjoy going out into the cold and rain and being verbally and physically abused. We do it simply because we want to save animals from being killed in a barbaric way, and unfortunately this is still happening every day, pretty much every week from now until the end of March, April next year.
Oh, come on, of course you love it. I mean, just a bit of self-awareness here, and there's no harm in that. You love it. You love getting up at 3 in the morning, the camaraderie, the sense of, you know, your moral superiority and your nobility, and a chance to have a little bit of sort of, you know, confrontation, which all human beings, particularly men, really, really love. You know, of course you enjoy it.
There is I would admit a small amount of enjoyment does come into it, Tommy, when you see the whole orchestra of the hunt chasing one poor innocent little animal, and you know that by the actions that you and your colleagues have taken that day, you've helped that animal get away, given that fox a fighting chance of getting away, and knowing that you've thwarted the hunts. All of them, the huntsmen, the horses, the hounds, all the supporters, all the whole lot. When you know that 5 or 6 of you in the field with the knowledge and the tactical nous to overcome that whole display of whatever you want to call it, when we help foxes get away and know that we're going home and they're safe and sound, that's a feeling that I enjoy, Tommy. However, going out there and being spat at, being hit, being run at, being ridden down by horses, just because we're trying to monitor their activities and trying to make sure the law of this land is being upheld, Tommy, that's that's not enjoyable. I invite you to come and experience it, and then come back on the air and say how enjoyable it is being in a muddy field being rained on.
No. Another part of the enjoyment is this, entirely fictional notion that there's a huge element of self-sacrifice involved. I think you're doing yourselves a real disservice if you just don't admit that, you know, you do enjoy, you enjoy the whole thing. And why not? Because, you know, some of our most magnificent organisations and heroes have been doing the same sort of thing that you do. And, and when you finally decide that there definitely is never going to be anybody else dressed up silly with a bunch of hounds going round, what are you going to do?
Well, there's plenty of other animal cruelty in terms of shooting.
Oh, so you'll be all right. You won't be at a loose end.
No, I'm sure we'll be fine. There's lots more animal cruelty that needs.
What are you going to do? What would you go on to then if you did finally realise that you've won the fox hunting thing?
Or every single fox hunt in the country was disbanded, and the hounds were rehomed, and the houses were looked after, and the 6,000 to 8,000 jobs that rely on hunting in this country were eventually to fall by the wayside, which is a lot less than the mine, as I hasten to add. Then I think shooting would be the next target of the Hunt Saboteurs Association. I mean, it is already. We stop people shooting birds, week in, week out when we come across them, and we sometimes go for them. But sometimes we make specific efforts to attend some of the big shoots. It's something like 40 million pheasants and partridges are mass-produced in this country every year, Tommy. And they're kept in these horrible little cages. They're only released like a month before they get shot out of the sky just for fun. And, sometimes they can shoot 500 birds in one day, and most of them aren't killed cleanly, Tommy. It's a horrible way to live and a horrible way to die. And
I know, my youngest brother was a hunt sab. I don't know if he still does it.
Really?
But we were having a family party one Sunday, and he was late, but he pitched up, and he'd been on a hunt.
Oh yeah.
And so good for you, mate. Well done. Did you manage to save a fox? He said no, they never saw one. There was no chase. I guess you get that from time to time, don't you?
Sometimes, yeah. Well, the thing is, these days, Tommy, some of the hunts, you know, good on them, are actually obeying the law. They're following a drag. They're not letting the drag through places where they know foxes are. And as to how much of that is due to our presence, because there's lots of other organisations out there, Tommy, that monitor hunts. There's I4, there's Power, there's the League Against Cruel Sports, and they take a passive role. They monitor the hunt. They try and gain evidence of breaches of the Act. Whereas the hunt saboteurs are slightly different in that while we're happy to do that, when we see an animal actually being chased, hunt saboteurs on the ground would make their own decision and, you know, more often than not, I would imagine, would step in and try and help that fox get away. So the point is that the law has been brought in, and I wish you were right, Tommy. I really wish it was the case that we'd won and I could put my camos away and, you know, not have to smell of citronella every Saturday night when I'm out in the pub. But the point is that because the police aren't... The law has no teeth. There's so many exemptions, so many ways the hunts can get round the bill. It's like you said earlier on, you know, they're only killing the odd one now and again when it's an accident. But there are ways of reducing your risks and the potential for accidents. And a lot of hunts are doing the exact opposite. They're trying to provoke accidents to make sure the hounds get onto a fox.
Well,
and if you're running around, sorry Tommy, if you're running around the countryside with 40 hounds, you've spent the best of their lives chasing foxes and being trained to do so and being rewarded for it. If you're going to walk around the countryside on a horse with 40 of these hounds and just a hunting horn in your voice to control them, it's no surprise that foxes are going to be, you know, chased and killed in contravention of the Act.
Well, we'll come back to that in just a second. The point I wanted to make, I went down to the drive where my brother. Remember, I was telling you about my brother.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't save a fox that day.
Right, they don't always put them up. Yeah.
But I went down to have a look at his car because it was a bit muddy. I don't know where he'd been. He'd been up and down country lanes, like I guess you do.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it was a summer's day, and the front of his car, the radiator grille and the windscreen, it was covered in bugs. Hundreds of them. So I said to him, "You didn't save a fox." I said, "But just out of interest, you've killed an awful lot of insects." He went, "Yeah." I said, "So how many foxes then? How many insects equals a fox?"
Okay, he wasn't out insect hunting though, was he? I mean...
No, but if he'd stayed at home, all those insects would have lived.
Okay, that's a good question, Tommy. It's beyond my philosophical nous to equate the number of insect lives with a fox's one. But, I mean, my comeback would be that if
Why?
people are going
Surely,
out...
that's bollocks. Surely one fox equals one insect. God's sake, that's easy, isn't it?
If someone was out hunting butterflies, and it was a sport and they had, like, lots of people all joining together just to hunt butterflies, then I'd like to think there would be some people out there trying to prevent that. So, up to a point, a butterfly's life an insect's life is equal to a fox. But, I don't know, you've probably got me on that one, Tommy. I'm not sure of the right comeback. I'm sure there's some...
No, I mean, you wouldn't like it, would you, if a bunch of insect lovers started campaigning against you going out and thoughtlessly, willfully not giving a sugar about June bugs and mosquitoes and things?
Yeah, but we wouldn't be doing it deliberately, would we?
Yeah, you are. You're driving the car deliberately. Of course you are. It's no excuse to say, "Oh, it was an accident."
Okay, well, what about the
How could I have avoided it?
What about the spider that crawls down my throat when I'm asleep, Tommy? How can I prevent that that collateral insect damage, if you like, just through my existence?
If I may.
I've got Matt here with me, Lee, and he would like a brief word.
You can't really use the spider crawling down your throat argument, because the spider crawling down your throat while you sleep is actually a myth, and it's not actually true. Spiders by nature have a survival instinct which prevents them from crawling into a dark, wet, warm hole and dying.
Okay, well, how about the snail I accidentally tread on if I go out into my garden in the middle of the night to get my cat in? I mean, I try to minimise my impact on all animal life. I don't swap.
We're talking about what we're talking about here is an element of delusion, which is something that we all suffer from.
Well, I quite agree, Tommy.
Most human beings fire an arrow into the fence, and then they go up and paint a target round it, and they go, "Look, see what I've done."
That's a very good analogy.
It is, absolutely. And hunt saboteurs in that respect are no different from people who hunt.
I would make a distinction between the two, from my experience, Tommy.
They enjoy your presence You know? Enormously.
I'm not sure that's always the case from the way they act and...
They love it because they are people who enjoy a confrontation.
Well, they certainly are confrontational. That's
And
why...
they love it. And if you weren't there, I think, quite frankly, they'd probably pack up the whole thing all the sooner, but they mustn't be seen to let you win. And
So
in any
you think-
case, they do like
Okay.
it. In any case, they do like it when you're there in your vans and your Parkers, causing your mayhem. It gives them something else to talk about down the pub.
They don't like it when it stops them getting their bloodlust, when it stops them killing, which is what a lot of them are there to do. Which is why, you know, we've got Otis Ferry in jail at the moment for robbery and assault and trying to nobble witnesses. I can give you the names of various huntsmen who've been convicted of assault over the years and assaulting on policemen. And
Yes, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about what we're talking about is the fact that you've got a lot in common, you guys, and the huntsman.
It's not the first time I've heard the argument, in that, you know, we're both very committed to what we do, and we're both very... it's all about, a lot of it's tactical, and obviously they try to outwit
Enjoy
us, and we try to
confrontation.
outwit them. But there is confrontation, Tommy, but not on our part. We're there just to stop foxes being killed, and they try to stop us doing that. And one of the ways that they achieve that is by acting violently and trying to intimidate and assaulting us. But to be fair, there are certain huntsmen that, you know, I've had a nice old chat with, and it's not who they are, Tommy. It's what they do, and that's the problem. It's the act of going out with the intention of killing foxes, killing minks, shooting birds. It's just wrong, and there are people like me who are prepared to try and stop them. And you know, we may be what was the word you used? Deranged or
delusional.
Delusional. It may well be the case that some of us are, but we're doing what we think is right, and we're trying to save animals, which is what the majority of people in this country want. They support the hunting ban, but because it's out of the spotlight, they think that all is fine and well in the fields of England, and unfortunately, hunt saboteurs realise that it's not, and we're trying to, A, get evidence to lead to more prosecutions, and B, save animals as and when we can. Because the thing is about this law, Tommy, what normally happens with legislation, the Hunting Act 2004, is that Parliament generally fudges the bill, and then the courts interpret the law as they see it, they refine it, and then case law becomes the precedent, and that's how the law generally evolves. It's a bit of bit from the government and a bit from the courts. But because with this Hunting Act, there's such unwillingness on the part of the police and the Crown Prosecution Service to actually prosecute, we're getting very, very little case law, and that's causing them to prosecute even less. It's kind of like a vicious circle. So what we're looking for is the bird of prey exemption to be removed from the Hunting Act, and to tighten up on all the other exemptions, such as being able to dig out, you know, when they send the little terriers underground into a foxhole. That's still legal under the bill under certain conditions. And these things, I'm sure if the public knew, the public are thinking that all this has been put into the past, but unfortunately it's in the present, and you know, it's going to be in the future. Like, I know another one of your topics is Cameron and his Happy Bunch. Paris thought was going to happen. He's made a few statements, but he hasn't given a firm conviction, I don't believe, that he will repeal the Act if they win the next election.
I must say, considering you're such a hodgepodge, most of you guys, you've got fantastic PR. But when you consider the fact that you're up against largely ultra-establishment organisations with tremendous contacts, right the way to the very top of British society, government and the law. You've won the PR battle, absolutely, hands down.
Yeah, but
except obviously in the countryside where they claim, and who knows, because opinion polls are as unreliable as people's sense of self-importance.
You'd be amazed at how much support we get out there, Tommy. Like, we're running up and down country lanes, and we've got people coming out of cottages saying, go on, you stop the killing.
Here's my point. If the fox, because you do better with the fox, don't you, than with birds of prey. I mean, the people are more, the public, generally speaking, the ignorant public, are generally speaking more at one with you over fox hunting than they are with mink, say.
You're probably right. Rabbits. Yeah, in terms of PR, the fox is our weapon.
So this is the thing, isn't it? Is it because of the fox having these various romantic connotations? Because if it was an ugly little bugger, like a mosquito, but 3 feet across, you wouldn't have any takers, would you?
We're talking about the public perception here, are we?
Yeah, you wouldn't have any takers there. People would not be behind you if you were trying to save something that was 3 foot long but looked like a mosquito? Would they? This is the way animal PR works, because squirrels are no different from rats. It's just that they've got better PR, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they're a bit fluffier, aren't they, to be fair?
Exactly. So the fox is nice and fluffy, and which actually sort of rather belies its pretty vicious instinct.
It's a wild animal, Tommy.
No, I had 4 lovely chickens. They were lovely. Henrietta was my favourite. You know what happened to them.
I can well imagine.
That wasn't very nice.
But, you know, as an animal husband...
If I'd got there, I would have kicked that fox to death, and I would have done that.
I'll tell you what happened to me.
To save those chickens, I would have done that. He didn't eat any of them.
Was he disturbed?
Actually,
what they'll normally do is take all the carcasses
away. Disturbed. You meant a different disturbed. Mental. I've never, in my life, in my own life, I have never seen such an unwarranted display of bloodshed than this fox in my 4 chickens. And you see, he gets away with it on the PR side. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Well, I don't know who does their PR, but it certainly seems to work, yeah.
Well, you're in there with it, because you're going to tell me that it's the fox's natural instinct.
But the thing is, we're not pro or anti-fox, we're just anti-suffering and cruelty, Tommy. That's what it is.
Well,
fair enough, we might not have had the government bill, and the opinion polls wouldn't be the same if the fox was actually a 3-foot mosquito. But I can assure you there'd still be hunt saboteurs out in the field trying to prevent the poor little buggers being ripped apart.
Well, you don't, because you don't give a shit about mosquitoes that are half an inch across.
I do. I give a shit about mosquitoes, Tommy.
Well,
there's
how many of them end up on the front of your car? I mean, you'd be absolutely guaranteed saving hundreds of lives if you simply don't go to the next SAB, mate. You'd be guaranteed saving lots and lots of lives. Do you see my point? This is a sizist issue.
I do.
And it's a PR issue, and you're feeling a bit vulnerable here, because I'm good, aren't I?
You are good, and to be honest, your producer did warn me.
Yeah, but not fully. Otherwise you wouldn't have come on.
You what?
You're dangling, you're on a hook here. You're a bit of a rainbow trout on the end of a hook here.
Not my
favourite. I'll put you back,
Not my favourite analogy, though.
I know, that's why I chose it. I'll put you back, though, don't worry.
Thanks very much.
We've got to pay the rent. If you're still on the line after the commercial break, then we'll carry on chatting, Lee.
OK.
Play 2 UK. Headlines.
Another shockwave's been sent through the UK's leading shares. They've plunged 270 points, ending the day at their lowest level for 3.5 years. Votes taking place in the US on whether to go ahead with a Mammoth financial bailout to hold off a global economic crisis. Tories are promising to save us billions of pounds by freezing council tax rises in England for 2 years. And Awais Shah's been named in England's squad for the Winter Test Series in India.
Play 2 UK. Weather.
Generally cloudy and breezy across the United Kingdom this evening. Outbreaks of rain gradually spreading to many areas, especially Northern Ireland and Western Wales. Tuesday, generally cloudy and windy with outbreaks of rain, drier and brighter across eastern Scotland.
You're up to date on Play 2 UK. Love film? Then you'll love PlayRadioUK.com with low prices on Blu-ray DVDs. There's also 40% off and save on DVDs under $5. Just click on the lovefilm.com banner at PlayRadioUK.com. Here at Play Radio UK, we're dedicated to providing you with a fully interactive website and music service. Choose from 11 stations playing all kinds of music 24 hours a day. While away the hours with loads of games in the playground. Interact with other users and find answers to all your technical problems in the forums. Find out who's on when, what we're up to and what we look like. Although some of us are more photogenic than others. PlayRadioUK.com. Internet radio, your way.
Play Radio UK have teamed up with Virgin Wines to offer you a massive 20% discount off your favourite wines. Visit playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wines 20% discount voucher to start saving now and have your favourite wines delivered to your door. Play Radio UK and Virgin Wines for people who love their wine and a great deal. Just log on to playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wine 20% discount voucher and start saving today.
Tommy Boyd on Play 2 UK, the original cunning linguist.
Talking fox hunting, and we've got Lee Moon with us, who is spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteurs Association. Lee, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, Tommy.
Good man. We'll get you for another 5 or 10 minutes if you can spare the time.
Yeah, for you.
Good lad. Matt wants to have a quick pop at you, but we've got a couple. Let's take a couple of emails. We've got one from
Form a queue, why don't you?
Fiona? Reading the emails out, did you say, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to do it? Yeah. Okay, we've had an email from Debbie. Thank God for hunt saboteurs. Without them, foxes would be brutally killed for the pleasure of some sick people.
Thanks, Debbie.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie, for that. This is Tamsin, who says, Dear Tommy, oh no, come on, don't mind the sabs. What about the hunt? Maybe the sabs should put on orange clothes, a bit of a fur hat, and then run around a bit, and then the hunt could chase them. This could work for both sides. OK, I am a bit biased. I once went out with a hunt sab. I can't spell the whole word because I'm on my second glass of wine. Anyway, how do you spell saboteur, Lee?
S-A-B-O-T-E-U-R.
Okay.
Comes from the sort of trousers that some Dutchmen wore when they were sabotaging machines during the 16th or 17th century, I think.
That's
or a
correct.
shoe or something. It's a piece of clothing, a sabot.
A sabot, yes, you're right. Anyway, we had to end it when he said that I was cruel for forcing tomatoes. This is Tamsin drifting in her email a little bit.
Forcing tomatoes?
Forcing tomatoes. Yeah, well, you know that, I mean, concern about living things is gradual. I've never seen more vicious arguments than when, people who think they care the most about animals get together. Instead of congratulating each other on the fact that, you know, they don't eat farm meat and so on and so forth, or wear leather shoes, they fall into arguing about who is the most perfect of them all.
Yeah, it's called the vegan police syndrome, Tom.
And you get plenty of that in the sabs, do you?
Yeah. Not so much, but, you know, wherever you get people together, you get a bit of internecine strife.
So let's do it then. So
we're a committed, committed group of people.
Well, let's do you then. So obviously you're a vegetarian.
I'm a vegan, Tommy.
I was going to get there.
Okay.
You're a vegan.
I am.
Okay, but you still drive a car?
I don't.
You don't? Why not?
Because I don't have a driving licence.
But you do use motor transport?
I use motor transport, yeah.
Even though petrol is derived from animals' bodies?
That died 100,000 years ago.
Oh, so the time of termination is critical, is it? So you'd eat a pie as long as it had died how long ago?
No, I'm basically using a resource that's come about through natural processes in order to do some good for living animals that are still alive today.
Okay.
I mean, I would, if...
Would you eat
I
a
don't
deer
know.
that had died of old age?
Would I?
Eat a deer that had died of old age?
No,
Why
but
not?
that's through personal choice. I admit that I wouldn't be gaining life force at the expense or suffering or exploitation of an animal, but a personal choice would stop me eating that deer. I just don't want to put meat in my body.
Right. So plastic chews, presumably, fair enough?
Yeah, plastic and other fabrics. Other
Okay.
materials is how they call it.
All right, but you don't mind killing mosquitoes?
I don't kill mosquitoes, Tommy.
But it happens.
Oh, right, by sitting in a vehicle being driven along.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm right in
It's a
saying...
tricky
the
one, isn't it, for
mosquitoes-
you? It's a tricky one.
No, well, I think I might have a comeback for you, Tommy.
Okay,
Just
go
give
on
me a
then,
sec.
go
Let
on
me
then,
just
go
think
on,
it through.
Yeah,
I
go
think
on,
it's
you have a
something
think.
about the level of suffering. I'm pretty sure that mosquitoes and insects don't actually have a central nervous system, and that does not invalidate their life by any other means, but actually seeing a fox being torn apart
Yes.
is a different experience than seeing a mosquito being squashed on the windscreen. And I don't know.
We don't know, do we? We don't know. It's very tricky, isn't
What
it?
about a fox tearing another fox apart? Is that acceptable?
Okay, I'll tell you what I saw in March of this year. I was in Essex watching the fox hunt, and the huntsman was miles away, didn't know where his hounds were. We turned around a corner, and we saw one hound with a fox in its mouth, swinging it from side to side to side. And without even thinking, I just ran over and kicked that dog. I mean, I wouldn't have beaten him to death, as Tommy suggested he'd have done to the fox if he could have done, but I was prepared to give that hound a small amount of pain and suffering in order to prevent a greater pain and suffering on the fox's part. And I'm happy to say the dog dropped the fox, it only had it by the scruff. The fox bolted away, and we took the hounds the other way. So we saved that fox, and by kicking that hound in the shanks.
So you inflicted harm on one animal to save harm on another animal.
So I think the arse of a hound is called a stern.
A stern.
Yes.
Okay. What did I call it? Shanks.
Shanks,
Flank.
yes.
The flank is what I meant.
They have a number of interesting terms for their hounds.
Mm-hmm.
The hound's arse is called a stern, not an arse or a tail.
Fair enough. I've bowed to your
shank.
knowledge.
Not at all. And hounds don't bark. Did you know that?
Hounds don't bark.
No.
They cry.
No.
They speak.
They speak. Most mysteriously, they give tongue.
They do give tongue.
That's diverting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why we enjoy it so much. It's the hounds giving us tongue.
Yes. Now, look, there have been 30-odd prosecutions, to my memory, so far, in pursuit of this act.
Mm-hmm. Most of them have been individuals caught going out with lurchers pretty much on their own.
Four or five of them have been fox hunt related.
Yeah.
And, you know, the police...
4 or 5 in 3 years when criminal activity has been taking place up and down the country on a daily basis.
Hang on. You're talking about the nervous system and the sort of quasi-intellectual capacity of the various members of the animal kingdom, and human beings...
Only under duress, Tommy.
Human beings are a member of the animal kingdom. If the fox is superior to the mosquito, is the human superior to the fox?
I didn't say it was superior. I said it had a greater potential for suffering, I think was the phrase I used.
So since human beings, for example, are more vulnerable to emotional suffering, would you rather the police...
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm no expert, but I'd pretty put all mammals on a par in terms of the amount of suffering they can experience.
Emotional suffering? Do you think that the fox is capable of the same sort of emotional range as a human being?
I've got no way of knowing, but...
No, obviously not, mate, but what's your gut?
My gut? I really don't know, and I mean...
Now, wait a minute, Nana, you've done pretty well so far, because I'm good and you're doing your best, because at least you've got absolute belief on your side, and I'm just testing you. But if you're going to tell me that you think that a fox's capacity for a range of emotional suffering and neurosis and paranoia is in any way comparable to a human being's, you're lying.
And I didn't say that. I said I didn't know. Yeah. And you said to go for my gut, and you didn't let me answer.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
What did I say?
Well, you heard yourself, unless you weren't paying attention. You said you didn't think there was any difference.
I said I tend to group all mammals on a par.
Yeah.
I mean...
that's bollocks, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, you know that. You do know that.
Okay.
So what's my point? I'll tell you what my point is. There's only a limited number of police. Obviously... prior to 2004, you'd have liked there to have been fewer police around. Now, since the Act has passed, you'd like there to be more police around. But there's only a finite number of police officers. And they would say, and I think that they would be right, that they'd sooner be out saving little old ladies from their fear and paranoia than policing an Act which is designed to protect, quite rightly, a four-legged animal, which can look after itself a lot better than a little old lady who might be worried about muggers. That's what they would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there aren't as many prosecutions as you'd like. And you've got to bite that bullet, because that's the way the world is, and the way the world will always work.
And it's been classified as a wildlife crime, which places it very low down on the police's priorities in terms of...
You know perfectly well that the police have been absolutely upfront all along and have said that it is not a priority act as far as they're concerned. They've said that, yeah.
However, I mean, I can tell you of a case after the ban where the police arrested 7 saboteurs down in Sussex for aggravated trespass, and there was a 6-month investigation that they went for this, just to convict some people who were trying to uphold the law. There was a 1-week case, and then eventually the case was thrown out of court because it was seen that the police had been trying to lead their witnesses and that there was no possibility of a secure conviction. So the police seem to have the capability when they want to. But when, I accept what you're saying, in terms of a wildlife crime where the law is being broken, there is only finite resources. But before the hunting bill, Tommy, they had infinite resources. We had police helicopters up in the sky every week. We had
infinite is a lazy word. They did nobody's ever had infinite
not
resources.
Infinite resources, but apparently phenomenal resources in terms of what they would be able to put out if the hunt said that there were saboteurs there trying to monitor and disrupt.
Well, that's
their
because
activities.
not because they're trying to have the fox killed. It's because they have to protect people from each other. I've been to football matches where there have been police helicopters and a much greater police presence, and they're not protecting Aston Villa from the Portsmouth fans. They're not protecting Portsmouth from the Aston Villa fans. They're just trying to make sure that people don't end up hurt. And, you know, for all that we don't like the police when they pull up behind us and we realise we probably were doing 48 and it's a 40-mile-an-hour zone, you know, if you don't like the police, then next time you're in trouble, call a SAB.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Hang on a sec. Breaking news. I just got a flash very quickly. Will has emailed to say, breaking news from the US, Congress has just voted down the $700 billion package to bail out Wall Street.
Oh, dear.
So we'll digest that one as the show unfolds. So one last question for you anyway. You want the police to prosecute every criminal act. Do you smoke
No.
dope?
What I want, Tommy, is for the law to be tightened up, making it a lot easier for the police to prosecute with much fewer resources needed in aid to gain evidence. If you get rid of the bird of prey loophole, you get rid of the flushing to guns loophole, you get rid of the endangerment to birds loophole, and then suddenly it's very clear. If the policemen see a fox being chased, then it's a crime, and then they don't need to invest any resources other than one man with a camera there, which they currently have when we go out stabbing anything.
One last question. My golden retriever tries to catch rabbits when I take her for a walk. Am I in danger of being prosecuted?
You are. It's all right to go for hares, apparently, but rabbits, I think rabbits are all right.
No, you don't know the Act, do you?
recommend
I read the Act this morning. You ought to be up on the Act, mate. It's hares they can't catch. They can catch rabbits, provided I have the permission of the landowner.
Well, it's not a very nice thing to do anyway, is it, Tommy?
Well, how can I stop my dog chasing rabbits?
You can't.
How am I going to do that?
You can't.
How am I going to do that?
It's natural instinct.
Take her up the meadow. What do you want me to do? Keep her on a lead?
Yeah.
You pillock. I've enjoyed talking to you. You're quite good.
Doodle pip.
Doodle pip, darling.
Thank you.
He was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't too bad. Mick has emailed to say my challenge, instead of trying to bully this no-hoper Lee, he wasn't a no-hoper.
No, he was good.
Was he? He's all right. Get Charlie Wolf's number and have a ding-dong with him re-fox hunting. I'd quite like to do that.
Yeah?
Anybody knows Charlie Wolf's number? Because Charlie Wolf's cracking. A bit of a plonker, but he's an American who for some reason is very pro things like fox hunting and so on and so forth. So yeah, I would quite happily do that if that was doable. Time to pay the rent?
Yes.
And then we'll take your email, if you get a moment. studio@playradiouk.com is the email address. Our Skype address is play.radio.uk. If you want to Skype in, or you can call 01243 55 60 60. That's 01243 55 60 60.
If you want to increase your profits, go the extra mile for your customers, and bring loyalty to your business, then you need Play in Store. In-house or online, Play in Store is your personal, made-to-measure music and marketing tool. As part of the Play Radio Network, we are experts at creating the perfect radio station for your customers, in turn delivering an increase in sales, staff morale and brand awareness. Go to playinstore.co.uk.
Your computer is about to melt down. Coming to Play Radio, 6th of October, 2008.
Ellington Lodge at the Concord Club. Take advantage of our excellent jazz dinner, bed and breakfast rates. Enjoy live traditional jazz on a Sunday evening whilst dining in our superb restaurant. Stay the night at Ellington Lodge and enjoy a full English breakfast, all for just £52.50 per person. Look out for forthcoming events on Play Jazz UK or visit our website, theconcordclub.com.
Tommy Boyd on Play 2 UK, a super song of sanctity in a weird and wacky world.
So this evening we're talking fox hunting. I think I made Lee think a little bit.
Yeah, I think you gave him a run for his money.
Oh, no, I murdered him. I didn't murder him, but, there's this thing, becoming a thing of mine, this sizist thing. You know, people who care about animals as long as they're pretty and quite large. You know?
The only issue I have is that within the animal kingdom, animals fight and slaughter other animals. So why do we try? I mean, the whole thing...
Nature's vicious.
Yeah.
Red in tooth and claw, as the poet said. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, if we kill another animal, it's cruelty to animals, it's acceptable. We allow it to go on within the animal kingdom.
Okay. But I think the argument, if anybody can put this better than me, feel free. But I think the argument is that animals do it for reasons of basically for reasons of survival. That they hunt other animals in order to eat them, because if they didn't, they'd die of starvation or couldn't feed their young. And they'll kill other animals in retaliation to defend themselves. There's no killing for recreational reasons.
Yeah, but isn't that why? Yeah, okay. I mean, we are talking specifically the hunt saboteurs this evening, but isn't that why we started hunting and killing animals? Either because they were a threat to us, or because we wanted to eat them for dinner.
Yes, but we don't need to eat them for dinner now. I mean, I often think about packing and eating meat because it's not good for you, and it's definitely not good for the animal. Is it?
Well, clearly not.
No.
And
I just wonder sometimes whether I'd be better off in my heart and mind and body if I didn't eat animals. I went 10 years without eating animals once. I didn't eat a single animal or fish for 10 years.
Can't beat a good bit of fillet steak, though.
Ah, but I was doing it for sex.
Bacon butty.
She was a vegetarian. And there was no compromise on that one.
Yeah.
And believe me, you can beat a bacon butty.
Oh, yeah, well, we had the same thing
me?
last night. I went veggie for the same reason.
There, you see. And you can beat a bacon butty, can't you?
You certainly can.
However, then what happened was my son was born, my oldest son was born, and when he got to the point where he was eating food, I'd been veggie for about the first 6 months of his life, and I felt that we couldn't sit down and have a meal at which Daddy's plate was different from Mummy's plate and his plate. And I wanted him to eat meat if he chose to, because for all I know, there's something in meat that babies should have. I don't know. And it would be fascist of me to decide that my son is going to be a vegetarian at the age of 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. So I had a bit of meat on my plate, and of course I enjoyed it. So that was the end of that. And the next thing we know, it was a Big Mac on the way to the match. This from Dino in Dudley. He emails, great interview with the Hunt Saboteur. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I hogged it a bit, didn't I? Or were you happy listening? Were you happy listening? No, I mean you guys. I mean I didn't let you in too much, but then you,
it was fine.
Fiona said you didn't want to have an argument with him.
I was watching The Master at work, Tommy.
Jeez, what was Matt doing?
God, I wanted an argument with him, but then I had to phone somebody about insurance.
What?
I went into the back of somebody the other day.
Oh, did you? I didn't know you had to get insurance to interview Hunt Saboteurs. That wouldn't surprise me. What happened?
I was in they closed the roundabout, the A27 in Arundel.
Yeah.
So they were diverting all the traffic via the main road, which I used to get from my girlfriend's to mine. And I was trying to get back for qualifying, to watch the qualifying for the Grand Prix round of friends. And I'd been, what usually takes me 15, 20 minutes, I'd been in the jam 40 minutes, and I was still 2 miles from home. So I just, little lapse in concentration, just literally touched the back of some guy, a few scratches. The problem was, where normally someone might go, don't worry about it, he'd only done 30 miles in the car, he'd just brought it. And he was driving to Devon to take it home.
What sort of a car was it?
It was a new Suzuki.
His first...
No, not his first.
No, its first trip on the road.
And so he rang me today in the middle of a meeting. I said, I can't talk, I'm in a meeting. He's rang me now and I'm on air, and obviously he's left an answer phone message saying if I haven't heard from you by tomorrow, which is fair enough, he will go to the police and do it through the insurance. Which is fair enough, isn't it? Because I could say,
I don't think the police have any jurisdiction.
No, but they would then, he would they contact his insurance company and then they would
No,
contact
I don't think the police have. Was any street furniture damage?
No, he didn't mean get me arrested. He meant take it to the insurance. Because I said to him, it's only a few scratches, it'd probably be easy for both of us if I just pay for it. Yeah, which is perfectly legal.
Oh, gotcha.
And he said, if I haven't heard from you, then I'll just go the other route.
Hard lines, that weighs heavily on the mind.
I once wrote off somebody's new car.
Oh, really?
It was his pride and joy. Yeah.
What sort of a car was it?
This was years ago when the little Novas.
Oh God.
Zooped up Novas. Yeah, well, it was. It concertina.
What happened? How did you do it?
I slammed on the brakes for no apparent reason in my car, and he went straight up my backside.
His fault.
Followed by lapsed in terms of the law. Yes, it was. Followed by a van went straight up his backside, so his brand new car was concertinaed in the middle, thanks to me.
Okay. Did that cost you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Insurance?
Nothing.
Nothing, my
Well, yeah, it didn't cost me anything. It was all on the insurance,
Okay.
and I didn't even lose my bonus.
No, because it would have been deemed as his fault for being too
Yeah,
close.
he should have anticipated me breaking for no reason.
You can tell that Matt's mentally rehearsing what happens if this becomes confrontation. 'Cause he started using language like deemed.
It won't.
Deemed.
But look, mate, I don't have a leg to stand on,
Deemed.
but I want to pay for it, not do it to the insurance, because literally 2 weeks ago I settled an accident I had 3 years ago.
Really?
So I don't want to have to go through all that solicitor's rubbish again,
No.
drawing diagrams, sending off letters. And I
Oh,
just
the diagrams, yeah. And you always exaggerate a bit. Here's my theory, right? What you should have, this would work. You know how cheap webcams are now? Look at ours.
Mm-hmm.
Pause for laughter.
not laughing.
You know how cheap webcams are now? I mean, to buy.
Yeah.
To buy. Okay, how much is a webcam? You get a webcam
You
for
can go
$3.99?
Can you?
Right.
Probably.
Okay. In each car, okay, you have a device on top of the car, on the roof, right, which consists of like a 360-degree webcam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it can see everything in front, behind, and either side of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it records onto a 20-minute looping disc everything that it sees,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then when you're involved in a prang, you don't have to do any diagrams, and you don't have, and the other person doesn't have to lie and say that you emerged from the side road without due care and attention. You just show the film.
Mm.
And people, those of us who trust ourselves as drivers, would fall hungrily on this device. I'd have one on my car. I reckon you could probably do it for 110 quid. And I'd have one of them on my car because I'd want to be able to say, look, no, a number of times I've nearly been involved in little accidents and I've reached from the mobile phone and the photograph thing. And nowadays you see anybody involved in a little shunt and everybody's out taking mobile phone pictures of it. But it's too late.
Yeah.
All you've got is a picture of where the car's ended up. What you don't have is a nice little stop-action motion thing of the... Good idea, isn't it?
It is. What would be an even better idea is to put it on an impact sensor so that it stops recording on certain amount of impact. So if you went over a speed bump, the light would come on, say stop recording, you could push a button to start it again because that wasn't a crash. However, in a crash situation, it would stop instead of carrying on recording, and then before you realise 20 minutes has gone, you've lost the recording of the crash on the loop. And that would also record people breaking into your car.
Well, I was coming to that. That is indeed another... Indeed. I hate saying indeed. Makes me sound BBC local radio. Indeed. But that is, yeah, another advantage of it. If somebody nicked something from your car, you'd have some sort of film of them going in and doing it. But we'll never get one of those because it's far too sensible an idea. Richie. Emails. Play Radio. Studio at playradiouk.com. Pretty sad, Tommy, that you can't look after a few chickens. This is reference to the fact that I took Lee up on the fact that when we lived in the country, I got some chickens. 4 of them. They were black chickens. We got 4 eggs a day.
Wow.
A new laid egg.
I'd love to keep chickens.
Well, you can. You don't need a field. You can keep chickens in your garden. They do a lot of shit.
Yes.
And their shit is disgusting. And also, they peck the ground absolutely clear. You don't get a blade of grass where you keep the chickens. Not a blade of it. They eat, peck, absolutely everything. So you have to have them fenced off in a bit of land, which it just turns to mud and shit.
Okay, lovely.
So that's the bad bit. And you get big worms.
Right, you're really selling this
I
idea.
saw worms the size of snakes underneath the chicken thing, because it was all the shit. It's just disgusting. And then they get killed by the fox. But you do get lovely eggs for a while. And they are lovely eggs.
You've got to take what you can out of a situation.
And everything is compromise in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on, this Burke. I had chickens when I lived in an area well populated with foxes. I simply built them a proper shed and enclosure to keep them safe. It's not hard. I bet it's not, mate. I bet it's not. Anyway, he goes on. Anyway, wasn't it in the fox's natural instinct, just like your dog? You contradict yourself. Well done to all the saboteurs, by the way.
Just like your dog.
He wants an argument, but he hasn't got the cojones
to
come to the phone and have it. I'll ask him for it.
Parents
yeah, go on.
have a rabbit well, would you call it a hutch? I'd call it a caged warren. It's huge. It's about...
The rabbit run.
Yeah, in their back garden. It's about 10 foot wide and about 25 foot long and about 8 foot high. And
Goodness, big rabbit. 8 foot
so we can walk in, you see.
Oh, right.
Walk in and feed them and clean them and all that kind of stuff. And it's all completely meshed, right? But it's also meshed 3 feet under the ground, all the way around, with a wooden... Would you call it like a sideboard along the meshing? So, you know, stop curling up people digging underneath. Foxes still get in on a regular basis and take the rabbits.
Yeah.
Now, you tell me that's not doing everything you can to stop a fox getting into that rabbit hutch. Because it is, and it wasn't cheap for them to build either. But I remember, only ever happened when my parents went away, which I found is really weird. 3 years in a row when my parents went away, halfway through their holiday in Spain, I was looking after the house, I would come downstairs and... into the garden to feed the rabbits, and I'd seen some of the most horrific sights. We had bunnies once, had about 12 of them. I remember walking down one morning to see 3 severed bunnies' heads. When I say severed, ripped off brutally, just lying around the garden, and then in the cage was a full-size rabbit with no head. The thing is, this only ever happened when my parents went away.
Can I just stop you as a point of... on the point of, biology?
Yeah.
Living things don't lose their head, they lose their body. The seat of any mammal is in its head. Therefore, the loss. And I've argued this since primary school when we talked about beheading. I said it's not being beheaded; you're being bebodied.
Yes.
It's not funny, Fiona.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
When your neck is severed, okay, you lose your body. You don't go, oops, there goes my head. How can you do that? Because the seat of your intelligence, your eyes, and all your perceptive faculties are in the cranium.
So there was 3 debodied heads on the grass.
Thank you.
And a body from a fully grown rabbit in the cage, but only ever happened when they went away. And after the 3rd year, they thought it was me.
This fox that got my chickens, she, modern.
Yep.
Or it could have been gay, I don't know. You don't get many gay animals, do you? As far as we know, you hear about the odd caged baboon trying it on with his cellmate. There's showers in the baboon house.
Somebody dropped the soap.
Anyway, where were we? So many things to talk about, and yet the fox that killed my chickens definitely stalked the house and knew when the house was going to be empty. And when he, she, or it could come for the chickens, because you could just tell. And my neighbour was a farmer, and he said yes. He said, you've had a fox round here a lot, because he came up when he heard, and he could smell foxes. And he said, yeah, you've had a fox that's been scouting round your chickens for some time, and finding a way over the fence that I'd built. I built a 3-foot fence because I was told that's all foxes could jump.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, we usually had like 5 or 6 people in our household, so when the rest of them go to Spain and it's just me, the activity goes down, you know, by 60%, because I spend most of the time in bed, apart from when I have to get up and feed the animals for my parents, so I probably noticed there was a decreasing in activity in the garden area, and used the opportunity.
And you'd have kicked the living crap out of that fox, wouldn't you?
You know,
that to your rabbits,
part of me thought yes, but part of me would sit down with a cigarette looking at these dismembered bodies of rabbits and think, if he had a hand, I'd probably shake him by it, because I can't even get into that hutch. I don't know how he did, and I could never find out how he did.
Oh, they're good.
Never, they never left a mark as to how they got in. No holes in the fence, no holes in the ground, no nothing.
Isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
Amazing. It's 5 to 10, and we will be moving the conversation on from Hunt Subbing, unless you want to detain it there for a second. That is absolutely fine. We're going to bring some more sports bars in Beijing and Moscow to find out what they're up to. We've already got a nice contact in Atlanta, a guy called Jeff at the, what was it called again?
The Brew Cafe.
The Brew Cafe.
Brew House, isn't it?
The Brew House. We're talking a little bit about piracy and a little bit about the Tory conference, which is happening in Birmingham, and a little bit about Birmingham as well. But I have this for you on farming. This is Alan Partridge conducting an interview with a farmer who's come into his show on BBC Radio Norwich Up with the partridge?
Is this the cows interview?
I believe it might well be. But since we're talking about farming and the countryside, I just think that this is worth a listen.
Up with the partridge.
You're joining me, Alan Partridge, and Peter Baxendale, Thomas, of the Norfolk Farmers Union. Now, yesterday, I sort of trod in a rather large farmer's pat when I made some comments about intensive farming. Where did I go wrong?
Well, I think your comments were ill-founded. They were deeply ignorant. They showed a complete lack of understanding of modern agricultural methods and simply served to highlight the sort of intense stupidity that farmers encounter from armchair pundits who forget to think before they open their mouth. But with a full and frank apology that you're about to give us this morning, I'm sure you can dig yourself out of this rather ugly hole.
Yeah. Sorry. Have you got any requests? Anyone you want to say hello to, or...?
Look, I'm just trying to say that when you make ignorant comments like you did the other day, you serve simply to alarm the public and to inflame the farmers, which is exactly what you've done. Why don't you just apologise and make it nice and
Thought that'd fool you. You could talk the hind legs off a donkey. But your donkeys are probably born without hind legs because of all the chemicals you put in their chips.
Alan, I don't have donkeys, and even if I did, I wouldn't feed them chips. This is exactly the sort of rubbish you came up with the other day when you talked about putting a spine in a bap.
But I admit that was a mistake. I shouldn't have said bap.
Well, good. Well, that's a start.
Well, no, I should have said baguette. Because a spinal column would fit in a baguette.
Listen, you've upset half the farmers in this community. You seem to alienate everybody you come across, including, I gather, your wife, which is why you end up living like some bloody tramp in a lay-by.
It's a travel tavern.
I don't care what you call your sordid little grief hole. It makes no difference to me. The fact is that an awful lot of my colleagues...
Yeah, farmyard animals. Yeah.
You're talking about my friends.
Yeah, I've probably got more friends than you've got cows.
This is ridiculous.
How many cows have you got?
I've got 100 cows.
Yeah, I've got 104 friends.
I don't see what this is going to gain you. Why don't you just issue a frank and full retraction of what you said, and you get yourself out of a lot of silly bother?
Yeah, you are a big posh sod with plums in your mouth.
I don't think it's got anything to do with class.
And the plums have mutated and they've got beaks.
Beaks?
Yes, beaks.
Have you got any more of this, or do you want to stop at quacking plums?
No. You make pigs smoke.
I want to know where you think you earn the right to go swanning off on these ludicrous...
Swans. You feed beef burgers to swans.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
All right, well, perhaps you can tell me what's wrong with feeding beef burgers to swans.
Oh, what?
Well, if you fill a swan's stomach up with beef burgers, it's full of fat, it'll float better. That's why we do it.
Really?
No, you complete cretin. I'm just contributing to this total farce. What else are you going to accuse me of?
I'll tell you what. You farmers, you don't like outsiders, do you? Like to stick to your own?
What do you mean by that?
I've seen the big-eared boys on farms.
Oh, for goodness sake, resort to something.
If you see a lovely field with a family having a picnic, and there's a nice pond in it, you fill in the pond with concrete, you plough the family into the field, you blow up the tree and use the leaves to make a dress for your wife, who's also your brother.
Have I got anything else to say here?
Well, listen, I'll tell you what the point is. You have big sheds that nobody's allowed in. And inside these big sheds are 20-foot-high chickens. Because of all the chemicals you've put in them. And these chickens are scared. They don't know why they're so big. They go, oh, why am I so massive?
It's a shame that there isn't anybody doing interviews like that.
There is.
Who?
I can't remember his name. It
Come
was
on.
a BBC local station. I was forwarded the link last week, but within an hour of first listening to it, I tried to show you it last week, and they've removed the link.
What is it?
It was a guy talking to an Asian guy about a book this Asian guy
Les Ross.
I believe it was Les Ross, yes.
On BBC WM.
Not sure, but I believe it was Les Ross.
Yeah, it was.
And he was talking to this guy about some cookery book, and it just went...
No, it was his I believe, well, anyway, yeah.
His biography.
Yeah, it was,
his book.
Yeah.
So you've heard it?
Yes.
That was Alan Partridge.
Yes, it was. It was. I mean, Les Ross is a very good disc jockey. But there's not a lot involved there, so... now he's found himself doing interviews. It's an ISDN interview, as they say. Yeah. In other words, the author, who's a comedian.
Is that right? I hadn't heard the author's
name.
And
he's in London, and he's doing one of these things where he pops up on all these radio stations across the country for 10 minutes. And talks about his book. And it was pretty obvious that Les Ross hadn't read it, but then how can the DJs read all these bloody books? Why the hell he was being interviewed anyway about his book?
Well, to me, it didn't strike that he didn't read the book. I mean, I think that was obviously very apparent, but to me, it was he'd made a couple of conversational mistakes, and
like
the guy on...
remember?
I don't, unfortunately, but the guy on the other end, rather than pass them by, did kind of what the farmer did in the Alan Partridge interview just then. He went, well, hang on a minute, no, let's talk about that if you want.
Yeah.
Rather than going, just pretend it never happened and mention the book. But the guy was quite happy not to talk about the book at all. And they ended up going down some sort of, was it culture race debate? Something like that?
I don't know, but I'll see if I can find it myself.
But yeah,
I'm over the other side of the studio just trying to find it.
Expired when I tried to play
All right, I'll just have a little look.
Others.
I'll just search it. That would be fun. Doesn't look as though it's there, no. Les Ross. I'm looking at the YouTube menu now. Les Ross versus Diana Ross. No, that's me. Les Ross thrashes Wigan. I don't know. Les Ross. No, it doesn't say. You're right, it's been taken off. That's a shame. But there it is. Here we are. Gareth has emailed with a link to the Les Ross interview, and he says you can pay it direct from this webpage.
So we should do, after an ad break.
Oh, OK, then thank you, Gareth.
Ellington Lodge Hotel at the Concord Club. A unique place to stay. Going on a cruise or flight? Why not take advantage of the free short-term parking we offer to residents and extend your holiday by a night or two? Ellington Lodge is situated 2 minutes from Southampton Airport and Parkway Station, just off the M27 at Junction 5, and a short taxi ride from the Southampton cruise terminals. For more information, visit our website, theconcordclub.com.
Play Radio UK have teamed up with Virgin Wines to offer you a massive 20% discount off your favourite wines. Visit playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wines 20% discount voucher to start saving now and have your favourite wines delivered to your door. Play Radio UK and Virgin Wines for people who love their wine and a great deal. Just log on to playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wine 20% discount voucher and start saving today.
Your computer is about to melt down. Coming to Play Radio, 6th of October, 2008. Broadcasting live to the UK. News, information, entertainment, and the best music from the past 40 years. This is Play 2 UK. Tommy Boyd. Call 01243 55 60 60. Email studio@playradiouk.com. Skype play.radio.uk. Now, live from the south coast of England, the Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
Now, we had a little flurry of activity with people recommending links. Steve Bentley is one. John Wells, thank you, is another. And Gareth has sent us a link, so we can hear Les Ross, it is, and he is talking to the writer-broadcaster Hardeep Singh Kohli. And the attached text says that the words Partridge and Alan may well spring to mind.
Yeah, aren't you Hardeep Singh Kohli?
If only I was, my mortgage would be so much easier to manage.
Oh, dear me. Well, you must be in a terrible state, because you're on half the things on radio and television, aren't you?
I am. I'm the child of an immigrant. I like to work.
Yeah. Oh, there we are. No stereotyping, anyway. Hang on a minute. Because we've seen you most recently on The One Show. You turn up on that, don't you?
Yeah, I love The One Show. The One Show's kind of, my kind of weekly gig on BBC One.
It was better when it was from Birmingham, but never mind. We'll let that pass.
I still spend quite a lot of time in Birmingham.
Do you?
For The One Show. I do, yeah. Mostly on the train.
On the train. Excellent. Can't go wrong. Now, listen, one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Are you Asian, British, Scottish, Asian, Asian, Scottish, British, which one? Because it's very important, isn't it, to get them all in the right order nowadays?
I don't think it is, actually. I think the order changes depending on what you're doing, where you are, what you feel like. Yeah, what sign of the zodiac are you? You know what I mean? You know, is that more important if you're trying to chat up a girl who wants to know what zodiac sign you are?
Exactly,
You know?
but yes. I'm an Aquarian, of course. All Aquarians think the zodiac's a load of old tosh. But
Of course, so am I.
Thank you.
But you know what I mean? It depends. I mean, are you from? You know, are you a Brummie when England play football? Are you English when England play football?
I don't
are you British when the British team's at the Olympics, or are you a Brummie when the British team's at the Olympics?
I know exactly what you're
I mean,
saying.
just because you're a white Briton doesn't mean you don't have the same questions about who you are that anyone else has. I just think because of the way society is now, there's too much prominence put on certain things, and that's not necessarily a good thing or necessarily a bad thing.
No, but I agree with you entirely, as it were. So there you are. Now listen, this Indian takeaway, which is what you're on here to mercilessly plug, isn't it?
No, I'm quite happy not to talk about the book at all. There's so many other issues, clearly, lads, I think we need to sort out.
You're quite right. I think we need to take it to a higher plane, don't we? Not that your book isn't on a higher plane already.
You're doing a great job of really winning me over here, aren't you?
Indian takeaway. Oh, I better the producers say, talk about the book. Is this the thing that you did on, funnily enough, on Radio 4? You did a programme much the same. I'm sure I caught bits of it.
That was a completely different programme.
Oh, was it?
Nice to see somebody at the BBC's putting time into doing research.
Oh no, I don't do that. For goodness' sake, I'm British.
I think you'll find this is a comedy memoir about food travelling India.
Right.
That was a 3-part documentary on the partition of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh.
Oh, I thought it was that
which,
with fish and chips thrown in. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that Radio 4 programme was about genocide that occurred as the British pulled out of India. This one's, a great deal more light-hearted.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you did concentrate on. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Indian takeaway. Now, this is you retracing your Indian
wonderful,
roots, as they say.
Awful.
But you're doing it through food, basically, aren't you? You're cottoning on to the thing. Every television programme has to be about food, really, doesn't it?
Except this is a book and not a television programme.
Oh, sorry, a book. I'm sorry. I'm still...
Do you know what? This isn't working for me on any level, I'm sorry.
Isn't it? Oh, all right.
No, I'm sorry. You know what? Should we just call it a day?
If you want to. Blimey,
Yeah, all right.
I thought I didn't have a sense of humour.
No, sorry, I'm just not clear what's happening here. I don't...
Oh!
Sorry, have I just missed the point?
You've been in broadcasting before. Surely you know what's happening.
The reason I've been in broadcasting is I sort of thought I did know what was happening.
Okay, all right then. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
No, I'm really happy. I mean, I don't know. I'm happy to talk about what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about the book, that's fine.
Well, if
you don't want to talk about
I'm
the
just
book,
shooting
that's
all
fine.
over the place.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what? Should we just call it a day?
Bye.
Thanks.
Is that guy for real?
Yeah.
Is he always like that?
I've heard of him. Maybe that was a bad day. I mean, I don't like to... mind you, I've never done anything remotely as crap as that. I wouldn't dream of treating any human being to that kind of...
That was cringeworthy, though.
Journey through my own ignorance and non-existent sense of humour, where a kind of chirpy bounciness passes for something that's vaguely interesting. Surely other people are sufficiently interesting. You at least need to prove that they're not before you try and fancy the whole thing up by being a character. Surely you've got to find out what the other person is about.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? Wasn't that awful, Matt? I mean,
Yes, it was. When I listened to it last week, I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to listen to it again. It's that awful. Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, here's a man of whom you must have heard, seen, and all the rest of it, because you're on everything on the television and radio, aren't you, Hardeep Singh Kohli?
If only I was, my mortgage would be so much easier to manage.
Oh, dear me. Well, you must be in a terrible state, because you're on half the things on radio and television, aren't you?
You must be in a terrible state. What kind of a remark is that?
That's I don't know what to say remark, isn't it?
But you don't have to say anything, you just have to say... Tell us a little bit about your book.
That's what you would think he would open with.
Yeah, and the introduction as well suggests that he doesn't really know who he is.
Yeah.
So, it's that thing like you introduce... Here's somebody who needs no introduction. Because you don't know who it is. And he virtually does that, doesn't he? Here's somebody who needs no introduction because he's all over the place. So, I won't tell you that his name is, he was born in, he's recently appeared on this, this and this. But that's not necessarily the presenter's fault, is it?
No, but then you'd have thought if you didn't know much about him, he would have gone, okay, so I don't know much about him, so the simple way it goes, I'm joined by author and broadcaster such and such.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know anything about Les Moon, who we interviewed earlier from the Hunt Saboteurs
Would
Association.
that be
but-
Lee Moon?
No, it's only exactly. But you know, Fiona, who cranked the whole thing up, very kindly wrote me out a full thing, which is all I need, which is spokesperson for the Hunt Saboteurs Association. I can take it from there because she knows that that's what I need, and that's all I need. Yeah. So thank you. So that was thorough, but that seems to be more than Les Ross was provided with for this interview, because he had to do that thing of, here's a man who needs no introduction because he's on lots of television programmes already.
Which is what you don't do.
You don't do it.
Assume that everybody knows.
No. I'd go, I mean, what would you say, Matt? Would you...
If I didn't know
Yeah, if you
who
didn't
he
know who you were
was,
interviewing, yeah.
well, I would know... Well, I mean, let's say that Les obviously knows he's a broadcaster because
Yes.
he's done radio and TV, and he's an author because
You
he's
can
here to talk about
picture
a
him
book.
with his turban, or is
Yeah,
it not a
well-
turban, it's a whatever it is that he wears.
But then, if I was in that situation, I would have said, okay, so I'm joined by a very well-known broadcaster and author, Hardeep Singh Kohli, and he's here to talk about his book, the Great British Takeaway, or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
I think it is.
Hardeep, welcome to the show.
There you go. There you go. Let's listen to another 10 seconds of Les Really. Poor man.
It does sound...
How would you feel if you'd done something like this, and then on a new media radio show the guys are tearing it to pieces, because we are. How would you feel? Would you feel bad, or would you think, oh... Because I used to work with a guy called Timmy Mallet, okay?
Your best friend.
And one day, I think it was Chris Moyles was ripping him apart on his afternoon, as it was then, show. And Mallet came into the office and he just went, hey, he said, I've had so many name checks on Radio 1 this afternoon. But the point was he was being crucified.
Yeah.
And not just like he's a prat, you know, or he's whatever. He was actually being dismantled for being, well, all sorts. I'm not going to revisit that. But do you think Les would mind, or would he see it as a name check?
If it was me, I'd be slightly embarrassed and want it to go away. But it does sound like he's got 20 seconds left of a record, and the producer's gone, oh, by the way, ISDN interview. On next.
Just snag a quick call on this. Are you there, or are you getting a bit agitated?
You love Timmy Mallet.
Good work, friend. Anything else?
That's it.
That's cool. So let's just have another listen then to what could well be the worst radio interview I've ever heard.
Yes.
I am. I'm the child of an immigrant. I like to work.
Yeah. Oh, there we are. No stereotyping, anyway. Hang on a minute. Because we've seen you most recently on The One Show. You turn up on that, don't you?
Yeah, I love The One Show. The One Show's kind of my kind of weekly
It was
gig
better-
on BBC One.
It was better when it was from Birmingham, but never...
What's the point of saying that? It was better if it was from Birmingham.
Trying to be funny.
Well, the point is, no, but it's a broadcaster's remark, because when you watch a TV programme, do you care which studio it comes from?
No.
Do you know whether it's from Anglia or from live from Granada or Birmingham? Does it ever occur to you that it's from Birmingham? He's a Birmingham lad, isn't he?
Oh,
We're back to
Les
Birmingham.
or
you see.
Hardeep?
He's bloody Birmingham again. I think they both are. Are they both? See, it's funny how Birmingham's taken over the show, isn't it? We're talking about the Conservative Party sex change operation. I don't know why I said that. It just seemed to lift the sentence.
You have Steve Bentley on Skype.
Is he? Oh, excellent. Hey, Steve.
Hello, Tom. Hi, Tom. You know the really bad thing about that interview?
Go on.
It was pre-recorded.
He was what?
It was a pre-recorded interview.
You're joking!
No way.
No, it was pre-recorded. You look on the Guardian Media blog, they reported that today.
They didn't put it out, though.
Recorded. Yes, it was pre-recorded, and they deliberately chose to put that out.
They put that out?
You'd think they'd hide it, wouldn't you?
Well, why? I mean, was there thinking that it was quite wacky and zany or something?
No idea. There's been no comment from the BBC on why they put it out, but that was apparently the case.
What are the worst bits for you? I mean, stay with us and we'll just play a little bit more of it, because we've just had him doing that thing about he's on The One Show. So Les then says it was better when it came from Birmingham, though, which is what? What's the point of that?
Yeah, I guess just making it a local reference, and it was.
Yeah, but
it went.
You know, when you're talking to a person and it's for a broadcast, I think you have to sort of engage a little bit, don't you? Just to warm them up, just to establish some sort of level of communication. And making silly little points like that, it's just going to piss the other guy off, isn't it? Which clearly it does.
Yeah.
Let's just,
Mind, we'll let that pass. We'll let that pass.
I still spend quite a lot of time in Birmingham.
Do you?
For the one show. I do, yeah. Mostly on the train.
On the train. Excellent. Can't go wrong. Now, listen.
On the train. It's almost like going There You Go. Do you remember when DJs used to go There You Go?
Yeah. It's pure Partridge.
Eh?
It's pure Alan Partridge.
Is it, though? Is it actually as bad as Alan Partridge?
I think so. I think it's worse because it's real. Alan Partridge
Yes,
is
good
scripted.
point. Good point. Very good point. What's worse then, Steve, for you? Partridge or Ross?
Ross is real. There's no sense.
Yeah, let's listen to a tiny bit more. I've got a great clip of Partridge that I'm going to play after this so we can compare.
And, one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Are you Asian, British, Scottish? British, Scottish, Asian? Asian, Scottish, British? Which one? Because it's very important, isn't it, to get them all in the right order nowadays?
I don't think it is, actually.
What is that shit all about?
It's shit, isn't it?
Isn't it shit? I mean, it's just... He's a guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's making a thing out the Asian with the name of the book. I can see kind of where Ross is coming from with that question, but I think he made a bit of a...
Yeah, but you've got to set it up, haven't you? You know, you've got to say, I notice in the press handout for the book, because I haven't read it, and I don't even know what it looks like, but I notice in the press handout, and this may or may not be the case, I notice in the press handout for the book, you are described as an Asian Briton. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, I don't know, I'm guessing. So what he's got is he's actually trying to base an interview on a 3-paragraph press handout for the book, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he does make jokes about being an Asian himself. I think he doesn't. I think I've heard him make that sort of joke on the one show.
What, Hardeep?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he has made references to that.
I think he makes I think the position that he takes, and he's, to be absolutely fair to Les, Hardeep is not much of a comedian. No. So you got two guys there, none of whom are laugh out loud funny, but Hardeep strikes me as having some depth and some powers of insight, and I think he's often seen on television reporting what certain British things look like to somebody who is newly British. I think that's his niche, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like you, Steve. You're concise.
I'm not that familiar with a lot of his work yet. I've seen bits on the one show, but
yeah. I saw him in Brighton the other day. I was walking through that street in Brighton where you can get trendy shoes and mod gear.
Is it the lanes?
No, it's off the lanes, yeah. And he was doing a piece to camera outside one of the shops. So I went right the way around the camera, because I don't... Anyway, let's just listen to a little bit more of Ross.
I think the order changes depending on what you're doing, where you are, what you feel like.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you hear him giggling in the background?
That's the worst thing. He's laughing at his own joke, which
but
wasn't
it's
even
a
funny.
non-joke. He's trying to make the other guy go along with this... Oh, aren't we all crazy not knowing whether we're British Asian Brummies or Brummie British He's trying to force him into going, oh, it's crazy, isn't it? What a funny old world we live in. By giggling underneath
What sign of the zodiac are you? You know what I mean? You know, is that more important if you're trying to chat up a girl who wants to know what zodiac sign you are?
Exactly,
you know?
But yes. I'm an Aquarian, of course, all Aquarians think the zodiac's a load of old tosh. But
of course, so am I.
Thank you.
But you know what I mean? It depends. I mean, are you from, you know, are you a Brummie when England play football? Are you English when England play football? Are you British when the British team's at the Olympics?
Is he saying, he's trying to say I don't care?
So why did he ask the question?
He was floundering.
You're embarrassed, aren't you, mate? I can tell.
Because I had a similar experience myself.
Oh, have we got it on tape?
No.
Damn!
I can do for tomorrow.
What have you got? A bad interview?
No.
Do we want to hear it, Steve Bentley? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'll have to dig it out.
Thanks for pointing us up on that, Steve, mate. Good man.
Talk
to you again talk to you again sometime. Nice guy. Shall I quickly dig out the Alan Partridge, which is very similar to this?
I interviewed Andy Abrams. You remember he came second to Shane Ward in X Factor?
Yes, the bin man.
Yeah, the bin man, and I interviewed him in Oxford, and we went along for the interview with my mini disc player, my microphone, and my press release that I'd been given. Unbeknownst to me, the press release that I was given was from the very beginning of his tour. So I sat down and we were in conversation, and I said, so you're just embarking on a UK-wide tour to promote your album? And he went, actually, this is the last date. So I'd been given the press release from the beginning of the tour. This guy was at the end of his tour.
Right.
And there were various things like how I tried to talk to him about it. It was actually, no, you're wrong.
Really?
Like 3 or 4 things about his album, about his tour, etc., etc. And I was just totally embarrassed. I never played the interview on there.
I bet he was quite gracious about it, though.
I couldn't tell. I think he comes across more gracious than he actually is.
Do you think?
I think there's a different side to Andy Abrams. Not particularly a bad one, but I think he's a little bit smug inside.
Yeah, but I think he's got a
comes
right
across
to be smug.
Maybe, but
One
he comes
day he's
across
a bin man,
as
the next day he's selling albums.
Sure. I mean, when I met him, I could not tell you that I was not impressed by his demeanour, so to speak. But there was definitely a look in his eye during the interview that sort of a little bit
Well, maybe that was a look of I'm a bit miffed that you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't my fault. You get prepped, like Tom was saying. You get what you need to be given, and what I was given was not what I needed to be given whatsoever.
Yes. It's very awkward. When I was a journalist at LBC, I was asked to get the 3 leaders of the main political parties at what was then called the GLC, the Tory leader, the Labour leader, and the Lib Dem leader, Liberals as they were. And so I had to look up. I didn't know who the leader of the Labour Party was. So I looked it up and I saw this name, Ken Livingstone. So I went to the contacts book, because we had these contacts book with everybody's phone number in it, Margaret Thatcher, George Best. It was great. And I saw Ken Livingstone, so I rang him up. I said, would you be willing to come into the studio for a debate about London and all the issues facing London at the moment? And this voice just went, yes, I'd be very happy to do that. I said, OK. I said, I'll send a taxi for you. Where's your address? He said, I'm a flat 12 Nelson Mandela House, Streatham. So I said, OK, send him a taxi. I got Horace Cutler in, who was...
Not Peckham.
That's only 4...
I know. No, Nelson Mandela Way is Shepherd's Bush, actually, if you know your London. Peckham's a television programme.
As we found out last week, I'm terrible with geography.
Yes. We'll come back to that. So I got Horace Cutler in, and also the guy who was Les, can't remember his other name, the guy who was leader. So we got them in. There was a guy called Brian Hayes was hosting, right? And Brian was newly over from Australia, so he didn't know any of these guys. So he said, on my show this morning, discussing the issues facing London, the leader of the Conservatives at the GLC, Horace Cutler. Mr. Cutler, good morning. And Horace Cutler went, good morning, Brian. And he did the same thing for the Lib Dem guy, Liberal guy. He said, leading member of the, leader of the Liberals at the GLC, Les, whatever his name was, Les Dennis, we'll say that. Good evening, Brian. We also have here in the studio the leader of the Labour Party at the GLC, Ken Livingstone. And this bloke went, no. Brian went, you're not Ken Livingstone. No, I am Ken Livingstone. But I'm Ken Livingstone, who is the treasurer of the London Bus Spotters Association. So Brian was brilliant. He just went, excellent. So let's start with transport. Which was brilliant. And I screwed. Totally screwed. But easily done.
So they were allowed to do, was that before the fair impartiality law came in with Ofcom? You know, if you're going to talk politics, you have to give each politician the same amount of time during this, because nowadays, if you just had a Lib Dem and a Tory leader onto your show to talk about things like, you wouldn't be allowed to. You'd have to have Lib Dem, Tory and Labour. So I presume they were allowed to carry on with the interview.
Oh, no. It was pretty much as closely policed as it is now. If not more so, actually. But we were just in a hole, that was all. So we were trying to climb out of the hole. You're tuned to? I don't know what to say. Logged on.
In session with.
Okay, in session with Play Radio. It's our talk show of a Monday night from 8 till midnight, UK time. We're talking about the Tory Party conference, fox hunting. Birmingham seems to be cropping up, doesn't it? Quite a lot, and it's hardly escaping unscathed. We've been phoning sports bars in Moscow and Beijing.
And America.
And now here we are listening to Les Ross making poor lad a real fool of himself in an interview. And we've got a little bit of Alan Partridge who's chasing him up that tree right after this.
Play 2 UK weather.
Generally cloudy and breezy across the UK, although there will be some clear spells in eastern Scotland and northeastern England. Outbreaks of rain will gradually spread to many areas, especially Northern Ireland and Western Wales. Tuesday, generally cloudy and windy with outbreaks of rain, often heavy across parts of Northern Ireland, northwestern England and Western Wales. Drier and brighter across eastern Scotland.
You're up to date on Play 2 UK. Go to playradiouk.com now and play blackjack for real money and get a $200 bonus when you sign up. Just click on the 888.com banner on our website now at playradiouk.com.
Websites don't always work to their full potential. In fact, they can seem like a mystic art. Wouldn't it be great if you had someone on hand to wave a magic wand that would optimize, improve, and increase traffic to your website? Fear no more. The Web Wizard is here dispensing web wisdom and free tips. Email your question to Jason Rutland, the Play 2 Web Wizard. wizard@playradiouk.com. Then listen at 2:30 p.m. on the last Thursday of every month. The Web Wizard on Play 2 with Argo Internet Business Consultants. Growing your ideas. Click argo.uk.com.
Find out how your business can reach over 3.5 million clients right now by emailing sales@playradiouk.com. Or call 01243 556 285. PlayRadioUK.com. Internet radio your way.
The Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
I got a few interesting emails. Gareth James has said, I'm finding the Les Ross interview just as uncomfortable now as I did the first time round. It's not so much what he's talking about as the ridiculous giggling between comments. It brings to mind when Zoe Ball did Radio 1 Breakfast and she'd take a quick audible breath and make a random throat noise after anything that she believed to be amusing. Is it a nervous thing or is he just determined to screw up? I find it very hard to work out what he's on about. At the risk of seeming like some kind of email stalker, can I recommend the following link? It's Nick Witchell and Richard Evans having a bit of a moody strop when trying to pre-record a link for 5 Live. That's got to be worth listening to. Who's Richard Evans? Dunno.
No idea.
The audio link is at the top of the page. We'll get to that in just a second. Scott says, great show. Please can you email me the Les Ross link you played from? Thanks from Scott. Can somebody do that?
Yeah, I can do that for you now.
You can do that. And I got this from John Aldridge. He says, hating chirpy bounciness, says the ex-original FM presenter. And then a colon and a P.
Is that John Aldridge, the old Tranmere player?
Colon and a P means this.
Smile.
No, it's not John Aldridge. I never played football professionally.
You played it amateurly?
I play football in my field, but I was just thinking that I was reminiscing of a moment that made me feel very uncomfortable when I was listening to the radio.
Can you stop doing a silly West Country accent?
But it's no, come on,
it doesn't work. It's shit.
That's my best accent.
It's crap. What, Matt?
You wanted me to email the link, but you keep taking the mouse away from me.
Well, just get on with it. I'm doing radio here. You're doing bits of bloody bureaucracy. Just live with it. I'm trying to interview a twat here. So what's your problem?
What?
What?
I'm not sure how I should react to
with deference.
Your critique of my accent.
Well, your accent was crap. Your email stank. What else you got?
What email? I never sent you an email.
You're standing there in your underpants.
No, I'm I'm sitting on my couch with my wife's feet across my lap.
Are they bare?
What?
Are they bare?
No, they're under a velvet chocolate colour throw.
Sounds like Gary Lineker.
Well, I assure you I'm not.
No, what your wife's wearing on her feet.
Oh. Well, I assure you she's not Gary Lineker. And if she was, I would have no interest in her at all.
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, I don't know how. You only have my word to go on.
Well, ask her to say something quasi-funny, like, I expect you may have heard there's a match on tonight.
But she doesn't have much of a sense of humour for this phone-in radio lark. She tends to think that if you don't listen to pop music, you're a bit of a weirdo.
She likes X Factor, doesn't she?
Oh, tremendously.
Yeah, I know.
In fact,
yes.
I have to, in the summer, well, as the lights are fading now, but previously, for the first couple of weeks of X Factor, we had light until about 8:30. And I would have to leave the course early.
Yes.
To pick her up from a friend's house.
Oh, jeez.
I'll talk to you about golf just for a little bit. I feel like I always. I don't like to talk to you about golf, but you know, because it's not really a golf-based show.
It's not an anything-based show.
But I have to tell you about Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
Right. Fisherman's tales and all. Yeah.
Yes.
But I had 8 12 foot and under birdie putts.
Yes.
And I only got one.
But one's good. Look on the bright side.
No, it was horrendous. I was tee to green impeccable.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You gave yourself every chance, but you didn't hit it.
And then on Sunday...
Yes?
I was all over the shop, right?
Yes.
Off the tee, but I had magical Ballesteros-like short game, which kept me to 75.
75 is very good. Where was this?
This was at Hainault.
Hainault.
Do you know it?
Whenever
it's a wonderful course.
Whenever I see the name, I always start humming that song by the Tams. Hey girl, don't bother me.
I don't know it.
Hey girl, don't bother me.
But it has the 12th hole is rated as one of the most picturesque. From an elevated tee position.
Yes.
You're looking down probably about 100 feet into a snaking valley.
Yes.
That runs from left to right, with a forest on the right-hand side which cuts in at about 280 yards, and a dogleg into a very well-hidden green. It is a truly beautiful golf hole that what you don't want to do is waste your tee shots on.
You want to just fade it into the green?
You need to play it up left because it will roll down to the right-hand side.
Just bring it round a little bit.
But anything that's slightly... You know, it's a real pressure shot because it's very beautiful, and if you feel like if you ham it up,
yes,
you know, it's a waste. The whole round is wasted.
And did you manage to get this one on the green?
Yeah, no, I'm more tee to green on. You know, I'm fine. It was just putting. It was just a misery. I don't understand it.
The game never quite comes together, does it? So that you hit a good tee shot, a good iron shot, a nice lag putt, and then sink that 5-footer.
Occasionally, Tommy, there, you know, moments of, I can only describe as brilliance.
Brilliance.
Right? Absolute moments of brilliance. But the problem is, it's not consistent. And, you know, I put in at least, if you average out over the week, about an hour and a half's practice every night.
Yes.
And, you know, I have a beautiful flowing swing.
Yes.
Like Arabian horses.
Julius Burrows.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Julius Boros.
Boros, I knew that.
Right, but it just like, you know, I don't understand it.
No.
I don't understand
it's
it.
It's a bitch, isn't it?
It's you know, it's like, I'm that close to being really good.
You're that close to a 67, aren't you?
Oh! I'm that close to a 67, but it ain't going to happen in my lifetime.
Well, as long as you go on talking to yourself like that, it won't.
No, but it won't. I know it won't.
Well, you know what, who's that guy, Ken Rottweiler, who's the psychologist?
Oh, Bob Rotella.
That's the boy.
How did
you get him from Ken Rottweiler?
No, because because it sounds similar, doesn't it?
It does to me, but I didn't think it would to anybody else.
Well, what about, who's the other Ken? Ken Dobereiner.
Peter Dobereiner.
Peter Dobereiner.
He's dead now.
Is he?
Yes.
Is Brian Barnes dead? Because when I saw him on the telly, he didn't look very well.
He's huge, isn't he?
He likes a whiskey, doesn't he?
Well, and beer. Do you know that towards the end of his career, he was marking his putter, he was marking his ball on the green with a can of beer?
I've read that.
All the law says is it has to be a round object.
I know. Apparently that would annoy everybody.
Not me.
Well, no, it wouldn't annoy. It would annoy me, actually, because I'm a traditionalist. I think that 4 hours that I spend, I expect everyone else to behave with the same etiquette that I afford.
Yes.
No jeans, no trainers, no football shirts, no sharing clubs, no shouting. Even though I'm a smoker, no smoking on the golf course.
No.
Can't bear fag butts in the fairway.
No.
You know,
Terrible
it's 4
business.
hours where I know I'm not going to get stabbed.
No.
You know, and I can see partridges running across the fifth fairway.
Swans occasionally.
Swans are all right, but they got all the... Are they partridges or pheasants? Pheasants.
They could kill you with one beat of their wing, you know. Break
They're
your
going
arm.
to get shot soon, because the pheasant season's about to start, isn't
I
it?
think it's time swans got what they've got coming.
You're revisiting old ground.
You remember that well, do you?
I do remember that well, yes.
The one we never did was firemen. They're just thugs.
The one you should have done was fridges.
Yeah?
What's the point of your fridge?
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
What a nice man.
This is my complete lack of experience in golf, but wouldn't a beer can on the putting green get in the way of other people trying to putt?
Well, only if it's on their line.
Okay.
And if your marker is on somebody's line, you move it.
Okay.
You go through this elaborate routine of lining a club up with something on the horizon, like a church steeple, or Cheryl Cole's buttocks.
So that'd be a nice line to take. But
I know where that came from. When he was talking about X Factor, I was thinking to myself, the only way I get through it, because it has to be on in our house, the only way I get through it is imagining what I'd like to dribble on her.
The auditions are good, but after that, it's
do you do things like that? You get through a program you don't really want to watch, but you don't like to sort of sit there making remarks about it because people get fed up with it. So you have to endure it. So you come up with diversionary, sort of mental commitments. So I sort of imagine what she'd like to be dribbled on her. Do you know what I mean?
I live alone, so I watch what I want to watch.
But you could still watch Cheryl Cole. With that in mind.
I won't really watch X Factor now the auditions are over.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What do we need to do here now? We've got some business to do. Does somebody want a link being sent? Are we talking about something else? What's going on? Steve says, apologies for the poor quality of my Skype line earlier. On the subject of booking the wrong guest, can you confirm the story that you ended up being unexpectedly interviewed by Radio 5 when they had intended to call the Scottish international footballer with a similar name? Have you heard it?
You told us about it on air when you were last here.
Yes. I don't know if that's available as a Google. I haven't heard it for years. But yes, it certainly happened. Witchell caught in behind-the-scenes Radio Rumpus. Is this the link that we were...
It is, and if you click that, it should be loaded up on your Skype fader,
Beautiful.
and if you click play...
Right, okay. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Here's our old correspondent, Nicholas Witchell, was there. So just tell us what happened today.
Sorry, I mean, it's just such a... You know, there has been a remembrance service. You can't ask... That's, I don't mean, you know... your intro will say, the Prince of Wales has led a commemoration at the Cenotaph. What has happened at the Cenotaph? They sounded the last post, they had a 2-minute silence.
Just tell us all that then, you know.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to. Because,
what do you want me to do then? What do you want me to do?
I don't know, honestly, I don't.
What do you want me to do?
But, what happened...
This is good.
Well, you
not
tell
argue
me,
between
Nicholas,
ourselves.
what questions you want me to ask.
I don't want to ask any.
Well, I know
dear
you
chap.
don't. I know you don't.
Start with, because that is in your queue, what happened. Start with, it's going to be one of the last occasions
You tell
when this
me what
happens.
to ask you.
I just have.
Right. What's the question
Otherwise,
one?
I'm going.
What's
okay?
question one? Don't take it out on me. Look, I'm just trying to do my better job as well.
And likewise. It's just a pointless two-way, but it'll be one of the last occasions.
I'm the monkey, not the organ grinder. All right? What do you want me to ask you?
I've told you 4 times. What? Now, this will presumably be one of the last occasions when a ceremony such as this happens.
Then what shall I ask you after that?
Oh, I'm sure you'll think of something.
Well, if I'm going to ask you questions and you're just going to say to me, I'm not prepared to answer that question, we're not going to get very far, are we?
There's no point asking questions which cannot be answered. What happened? There was a ceremony of remembrance. You know, they sang a hymn, said some prayers.
Well, you just answered it.
Oh, all right. Well, if you want me to.
Do you want to persevere with this, Daniel, or not?
No,
you know, I don't understand what's going on here, quite frankly. I'd rather be watching the television.
Okay, well, let's leave it. That's fine. You know, I've hung around for you.
But it's just pointless. Well, this is basically people that obviously don't know what happened today. I mean, obviously we're going to say in the queue there was a memorial today. Today's BJ
60th anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, it's not today. It's BJ, but
it's the anniversary. So basically, who was there? So in other words,
the Prince of Wales.
Right. So you can say the Prince of Wales was there. What member of royalty was there?
No.
This is going to be the last chance to see the veterans. It's kind of the last.
Yeah, that is the only in point to this.
This is going to be the last big memorial service because they're all dieting, aren't they? The next big anniversary.
Well, that is what I've been trying to say. Yeah. That is an in point to it. Now.
I'm fine, yeah, absolutely. I'll ask any question you want me to.
Well, you also presumably can think up some yourself. God, blimey. Right, let's have a go.
Are we recording all this, Nick? I hope we are. Right, here we go then. The queue will say whatever the producers wanted to say, and I will say, presumably, Nicholas, this is the last time that all these veterans will get together like this.
They're all in their 80s or their 90s. It is likely to be one of the last occasions when the country marks the contribution made by the veterans who fought in the Far East and in Burma. They're members of the Burma Star Association. They, of course, have felt over the past 60 years that they were members of a forgotten army. The 14th Army, in fact, the largest single army that Britain had. It fought the longest single campaign. They received the greatest number of battle honours. But it's curious, really, that forgotten for so many years.
Just paused it for a second. What do you think Richard Evans is going to come back with as his supplementary question, if anything? Because now he's got all this time to think. Because it's clear that what pissed off Whitchell was he did that kind of, oh, God, here we go, some bloody interview, so blah-de-blah-de-blah, and what happened? Yeah. And that is just so rude, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, it's rude. And Whitchell didn't like being batted away like that, just dismissed as being some little ponce who could just come up with, something irrelevant. It wasn't that important to get the first question right. So now he's given Evans a bit of a pasting, I reckon. I've got Whitchell in the lead. What have you got, Fiona?
I've got the producer in the lead. They're all going to die soon anyway.
There's that. But in terms of the argument, I'm with Evan. I'm with Whitchell more than Evans a bit. It was just so rude the way he started it off.
But for me, Evans's point was, you know all about this anyway. You don't need me to ask the questions. This is merely a rehearsal.
I've done loads of things like that. You take things from foreign correspondence. You just go. You do go. Okay, stand by. We are recording. In 3, 2, 1, and they'll do that. But it's just the way he kind of went. Oh well, blah-de-blah, didn't he? He goes blah-de-blah, and so Nicholas Whitchell, what happened? And it was a service of remembrance.
Yeah, it was rude.
So let's see. We'll go back to it and just see, because Richard Evans is now. He's obviously a bit pissed off.
Yes,
and he's got Whitchell. Whitchell's doing a good job, considering he's heated. And he's under a bit of duress. He's got to perform it. He can't stumble, fluff, get his facts wrong or anything like that. And what he's going to do is he's going to come up to an end in a second, isn't he? And the question is, does Evans go, anything else you want me to ask you? In his slightly annoying Welsh accent. Or does he do a proper supplementary question? What do you think?
I'm going to put 10 pence on him going on to talk back to his producer and saying, what do you want me to ask him now?
That's it, okay. You haven't heard this?
No.
Okay.
But now receiving their due, and respect was paid to them at the Cenotaph today.
Tell us about the ceremony and what happened.
It was a ceremony of remembrance, the last post, a 2-minute silence, wreaths laid at the cenotaph.
He's got the thing in about what happened, hasn't he?
You just started it again.
Yeah.
Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Here's our old correspondent, Nicholas Whittle, was there. So just tell us what happened today.
Sorry, I mean, it's just such a... You know, there has been a remembrance service. You can't ask... I don't mean, you know...
Right, okay. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Here's our old correspondent, Nicholas Whittle, was there. So just tell us what happened today.
Sorry, I mean, it's just such a... You know, there has been a remembrance service. You can't ask...
Okay. Now we've got people piling in with suggestions about this sort of crap, which is great, isn't it? Who have we got next? Did Peter Collins come in? Was it Peter Collins? Somebody came in? Somebody Skyped in with another suggestion.
There was an email that came in.
Yeah, an email.
Click on the emails.
Okay, where are they? You do it.
Okay.
We need a second screen here, don't we? I'll get that organised during the week.
Second screen?
A second PC, because we're fighting over the same PC here.
No.
Yes, you are, because you put your hand on your hip and got all titty when I'm putting it into... Yeah, and I'm going, what are you up to?
You're going, titty.
You're going, oh, just keep taking the mouse away.
You asked me what I was up to.
Yeah.
And
that's because we got one frigging screen.
I was waiting
And I say to you,
you.
we've only got one frigging screen here. We need to get a second one set. No, we haven't. We've got lots of screens.
If we get a second
one... Well, count the buggers then. If you come up with more than one, we'll phone the police.
Well, if we get a second one, what would be the point in having this?
I don't know. You're in a funny mood tonight. There you are, you see? Now look. Scared them off because people like to listen to an argument. Now, Peter Collins has suggested... Go to YouTube and get up George Galloway's interview with Jeremy Paxman on Newsnight. Mr. Paxman wiped the floor with Galloway and he got a lesson in debating, and this is from a guy in Birmingham. What is it with Birmingham? Peter, you need to be a bit more specific than that. The only time I ever saw Galloway and Paxman cross swords was on the night or the morning after the last general election when I thought Galloway murdered Paxman. You think the opposite. Just be a bit more specific, dear boy. That's telling them enough.
For perfect personalised cards for any occasion delivered through the letterbox, go to playradiouk.com/moonpig.
Play Radio UK have teamed up with Virgin Wines to offer you a massive 20% discount off your favourite wines. Visit playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wines 20% discount voucher to start saving now and have your favourite wines delivered to your door. Play Radio UK and Virgin Wines for people who love their wine and a great deal. Just log on to playradiouk.com and click on the Virgin Wine 20% discount voucher.